Hello and welcome to day 3 of Developer Days here in Stockholm and around the world. So still going strong. Some might argue this is the best content of all. Today we're going to talk mostly about user stories. So this is going to be tales from the trenches. Other than that, we're getting some technical details, some NSO product roadmappy kinds of things. I think the other thing that is different for today is breakouts start after the first break. So for folks that are scheduled for breakouts today, just pay attention to the schedule. Next big thing, we are here for you guys. So please take some time to fill out the survey, both folks here as well as online. Tell us what you like, tell us what we could do better. The team spends a lot of time poring over these results and figuring out how we make the session better. So without further ado, I am going to hand things over to Michael and to Jochen, and we're going to go back to some of the themes for the day. For the week, we're going to talk about the intersection of AI and network automation. And what are we doing?
So they're going to post the white screen.
Oh, okay. In general, off to you guys.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Stockholm. It's great to be back after a year, and I'm super happy to see you all after yesterday. So what we're going to do, Jochen and I, in the next 25 minutes is to talk a little bit about autonomous networks. Not autonomous networks in a sense of the theoretical conversation which we had yesterday. We're going to bring it down to earth, and that means we're going to do 3 things. So we're going to first show you a couple of things in terms of where we see the industry, and you are more than welcome to participate and tell us where you see yourself. Secondly, we are going to go into the environment where we're going to show what we see next, and then we're going to show a short video which is releasing basically something which we're going to release officially at Cisco Live in the US in 2 weeks. So if you want to see more, feel free to join us there, and we're going to take this the next steps. Now, looking into autonomous networks, I'm usually comparing autonomous networks with autonomous cars. This is something which everyone is talking about for the last 20 years. How many autonomous cars do you see on the streets these days? I would see rather little. There are prototypes all over the place, but you don't really see autonomous cars in productions. But what you've seen throughout the last 20 years is upraising of assistance systems all across. So if you buy a modern car right now, you have lane assistant, you have distance control, you have speed control, you have sleep control, and so on and so forth for the drivers. And that makes the life so much easier and so much better and so much more relaxed to get to from point A to point B. On the long run, you would love to get into your car and say, hey, I don't know where I am right now, but please get me to Paris. And the next stop is going to be getting off in Paris and being in the real environment where you want to be. Ideally, you'd love to have the same environment in the IT industry. So if you do a comparison of autonomous cars and a comparison of the IT infrastructure environment where we are all working in, it's a very similar thing. Javier yesterday did a great presentation where he introduced the different levels of TM Forum from 1 to 5. And I would like to ask all of you right now after this to enter a Slido poll to tell us a little bit about where do you see yourself. But looking into this, everyone wants to be in autonomous networks level 5. This is something which is probably something we are not going to achieve throughout the next couple of years, but we will get very, very close. So from things which have been taking a long time, which are very cumbersome, which are repeatable, which you need to do again and again and again, you are going to be able to get to an environment where all of these things you can offload to machines, you can offload to an automation environment, you can offload to an AI system, which we're going to show a little later, and you will get much, much closer throughout the years. Some people say it's a human challenge. I would say it's a human opportunity. And the most important thing is everyone needs to keep in mind that you are able to delegate tasks to machines, to automation, to AI, but you are not able to transfer responsibility and accountability. You are ultimately going to stay accountable for all of what the machines are going to do. Now, let's look into the Slido. Can you please bring up the Slido? So we are interested in what level of autonomy do you currently have in your networking environment? So feel free to be honest, right? We are not recording who says what, but it's very interesting to see, because the industry is debating right now where you are. Some people are still in text-based Excel environments and transfer things. Some other people have already visibility on different environments, but I have so far no one seen who says I'm in a full autonomous environment. Now, how many results do we have? 16 people. I think there are many more in the audience who can log in. What we see is level 1, okay, that's very, very basic. Level 3 is already ambitious, I would say. And this is, whoops, sorry. Here we go. Level 3, data model-driven services. That makes a lot of sense. NSO is clearly helping in that environment. Digitized delivery or service as code is another opportunity to help with that. But we are seeing rather few people in level 4. So whomever voted for level 4, I would love to have a conversation after this presentation to talk about this. Thank you very much. So the majority of people are at level 3. The next one, we had another poll, is where do you want to be in 3 years from now? So what is your ambition? What is your ambition to be in your networking environment? And that's 6 people, and everyone says you want to be at level 4 or level 5. That's great, because this is exactly where we think we should take the environment altogether, and that is exactly level 3. Okay, no one wants to be in the basic level 0 to level 2. And yeah, it's another 19, 20 responses. And basically everyone wants to be, or the majority want to be at level 4 and level 5. We are all on a journey, right? This is something where we are more than happy to be together on and explore these things. And I'm pretty sure we have a chance to get to level 4 and level 5 along the way. Now, let's stop the Slido here and go one step further. I'd love to talk a little bit about the baseline principle. So closed-loop automation is something which is around since mechanical machines for hundreds of years, actually. And that usually basically means you are going to measure something. Based on this measurement, you're going to take a decision. And based on that decision, you're going to implement a response in an automatic fashion. That is something which is nothing new, right? This is exactly the same principle which Javier has shown yesterday as well. If you apply this to the IT environment, you basically talk about autonomous networks or AI ops in a digitized environment. You talk about observability and assurance to basically make things visible. You talk about decisions which are, in the majority of environments these days, are taken by machine learning, by rules, and in very few steps they are already taken by generative AI. This will increase along the way. And once you've created this visibility and you took the decisions, you need to have a way to implement those. And that is usually done via structural automation. So no scripting, where you are basically putting all the credentials and all the different values into something which you need to reopen once requirements change. This is something you are doing with smart tooling, which you can fuel out of data model-driven environments, and which you can reuse, where you have a single source of truth, which is transparent to the tooling, and you are able to use tools as they evolve along the way. Specifically in the world of AI, we see tools popping out of the environment like mushrooms. So the evolution is very, very fast and very aggressive, and it's important to have this flexible automation possibility. What we're going to talk about the next 20 minutes is how are you able to improve on all 3 layers, on all 3 levels, to get closer and closer to autonomous networks. Now, Let's look into the current mode of operations. In the current mode of operations, in many environments, you have a dependency in between the amount of people you have to solve the problems which are out there. And right now, specifically in a microservice environment, in virtualization with containers, virtual machines all over the place, you're going to get more and more different instances across the board. You're going to get more and more visibility. You're going to get more and more actions. And if you would scale this pure by humans, you are running out of resources and you're running out of time because it's really, really cumbersome. So looking into the possibility how to do this. I would love to welcome Jochen on stage. Please give a warm welcome to Jochen.
Thank you.
Jochen is going to help me. He is the expert who has all that conversations all day long. And Jochen is going to talk about the future things to make it a little more interesting in our presentation. Jochen, how are we going to do this tomorrow?
Well, first of all, it's great to see that the majority of people here in the room are in that section, in that majority level beyond level 3. That means your intentions are definitely not outpacing your abilities, and you're not part of the left-hand side. And Michael already talks about the perfect storm, which our operators facing, right? So the economics are really breaking, right? So we see examples where we have OPEX-CAPEX ratio from 5:1 or even higher. And by the same time, introduction of complexity. And what comes with a factor of a human here, where you have that actually your decisions depending on the humans, this is not an infinite resource, right? So we see this erosion of talent, right? The exodus of talent. We see a lot of retirements. So that is not a model that scales forward, right? At the same time, you are pressured by hyperscalers if you're an operator, right? So they are dominating the digital service space. And they are cannibalizing your business models. And in order to compete, you need the best-in-class quality of experience. In order to have the best quality of experience, you need to have frictionless execution across all your layers. So business operation, service operation, and resource operations. And in order to do this, you need to do much faster decisions, better decisions, more decisions. And the concept here is actually that you delegate tasks to machines, right? So that is this transition to level 3. Where system operation is assisted by humans, and where you actually compile your knowledge you have within the people in the company in software, which is an infinite resource.
Great, Jochen. Now, the next thing we're going to do is to look through all of these different boxes. The first thing, and the most important thing, if you want to go through a maze, is switching on the lights. So if you want to run through this theater from left to right, and you do this in the dark, the likelihood that you're going to get bruises, that you're going to fall, that you're going to take a very long time is very high. And what we see is there are lots of possibilities to switch on the lights in the environment. Let's talk about some of them. So starting wherever you want to start in that circle, I would start from the security space. With Splunk, you have the visibility, you have agents, you have the capability to make security incidents very visible at any point in time. You have the chance to look further from top to bottom through the stack with availability, with performance analysis, with application analysis, to go from the application layer up to the bottom layer of the optics and have full stack observability top to bottom. You also have the opportunity to get full visibility left to right. That means from where your applications are running up to the home systems with things like Sam knows, who has a great home agent which is running on the home routers of people, and which gives you the possibility to basically see the experience of an end user across the entire environment. So if you switch on the lights, top to bottom and left to right, you have switched on the lights in your IT environment. That means you are going to create the possibility to see things you haven't seen before. If you see these things, you have the possibility to do things about it, right? You cannot improve what you cannot see, so switching on the lights is the absolute baseline. And once you've done this, you have the possibility to go one step further. Now, let's look into what we are going to do here. Jochen, how are you able to get know-how into AI?
So you have now all collected this breadth of data, right? And the question is how can you derive enough insights from that data in order to allow AI to do informed decision? or in other words, how you get actually from data to information to knowledge to insights, and then finally to wisdom, which is required when you do those kind of decisions. So, click. So the first example is here is actually a story or analogy to the robotics industry. If you think of a robotic hand, right, and you want the hand to grab something, right, you need to coordinate across multiple actions, joints, and sensors in order to perform that action. And we have in the networking space, our first step was here, and it's actually something we have built for one of our customers, a knowledge graph database, which is nothing else than an action catalog, right? And that action catalog can be queried for dependencies, right? So that action catalogs include things like NSO packages, workflows, right? Sensor data, assurance information, and you actually can explore via a natural language interface the dependencies between those items, which helps you then in the decision process, right? It's based on Neo4j. And the next evolution step would then be a concept which is also not new in industry, which has a lot of buzz right now. It's around a network digital twin, which is nothing else than a replica of your real network, where you try to emulate the behavior of your network. Right, and that's actually a key enabler for higher level of autonomy. Right, if you think of level 4, level 5, full control of the machine. Right, you need to de-risk those decisions making within the network. And what you see here is actually a conceptual prototype where we have a computational model based on graph neutral network model and deep reinforcement learning, where we are investigating the possibilities for, let's say, low-hanging fruit starting use cases. But also, if you look at the standardization in IETF, if you look into what's going on in the industry, people are working on the standards already. So check out things like digital map, right? And we also are in conversations with customer where we do joint ideation of how to come up with such a digital twin concept.
That's great, Jochen. That's super. Now, taking it one further, so we've switched on the lights. We got information into AI and into actionable environments. What would be the common questions, Jochen, from an operator? If you look into the standards, the first question is, what happened? That's always good to ask, right? What happened? The next important thing is to look into, why did it happen? As soon as you know what and why, it would be great to understand what's going to happen next, to predict what you need to do. And the last but most important thing is, what am I going to do about this? So Jochen, talk a little bit about what are we going to do about things?
So what you see here is a collection of use cases, which we call traditional AI or AI/ML, right? Which is nothing new, right? It's mature since 2017 probably, and I guess you in your networks have already some of those use cases in one shape or the other implemented, right? So that goes from the left-hand side for normal anomaly detection, where you, for instance, try to predict hardware failures, where you collect deep sensor data from the hardware and you detect anomalies which will indicate, hey, you need to trigger an RMA. That's also an example for an open loop, right, where still a human is there to press the button to actually dispatch track rolls. A lot of interest in that use case because it has a high potential of savings. Imagine you can dispatch technicians to the field, not in the maintenance window, but proactively. The second one is around traffic forecasting, so where you take historical data and you predict capacity needs in your network, right? So this is an example, we call it auto capacity management. We were actually pre-provision hardware based on the user demand, which is in this case BGP peering connections. The right-hand side is also a typical use case here, which is the simplification, acceleration of root cause analysis. So taking here Crosswork as an example, you might heard in other forums where we talk a lot about intent-based service assurance. That's actually where we build an assurance graph from the intent, so up from the service to the very deep level of the network infrastructure, where we can correlate actually the service health to the network health. Right, which is the ultimate goal actually to protect quality of user experience. And here it's actually a closed loop system where we take those insights and then can trigger remediation within the context of a transport network.
Oh, that's cool. That's knowledge-driven operations, right? Switching on the lights, creating the insights out of out of the data you've got, and taking actionable opportunities. But this is old stuff, Jochen. Should we talk about the new one? Anyone interested in that? All right.
Don't call it old, right? There are still people on level 0 to 2, right, who might have not these kind of capabilities implemented. And I believe it's still the bread and butter and the starting point, right? Everybody talks about generative AI, but what will happen in production will be that what you just seen previously.
Yeah, that's very good. The analyst projection is that 80% of the decisions taken in the future are still going to be based on rule-based environments as well as machine learning, which we are doing since a very long time. And only 20% will be based on generative AI. I would say 120% of the hype right now is about generative AI because it's a new baby on the block, and it's very interesting. Jochen, entering new terrain, how are we going to do this?
So what you see here on the right-hand side is actually where we are generating a topology generatively from unstructured data and actually from event streams, where we are discovering device interdependencies, events interdependencies, and the objective here is actually to reduce the volume of actionable insights dramatically, right? So really getting rid of the noise and do this kind of intelligence correlation, which brings us down. We have seen examples, the volume of incidents or the actionable incidents down to 60%. Also unifies the root cause analysis, and that would be actually the trigger now for further going on in the loop. So that's also integrated then with a thing we call the AI operations engine, right? Where we have, again, a natural interface where operator can query the systems for various reasons. So I give you 3 examples. One would be for training purposes. Imagine somebody who have never touched an ACI controller, doesn't have that CLI knowledge. He's just querying actually the machine around, hey, show me what a tenant is, what's configured. And also for troubleshooting purposes again, right? So somebody pushed the configuration into the system, push fails, and then you would like to understand the reasoning. The third thing is the acceleration of implementation, right? Where we are using actually now LLMs to populate the data model, which gives a massive reduction in the human effort, right? I think we are down to by 90% concerning that, right? And you can easily trigger then the extension of, in this case, it's a data center fabric, and that goes then into a pipeline where you already have a kind of a digital twin, where you actually do a pre-check of your configuration via Nexus Dashboard Insight, right, to do a semantic check before it actually goes into production.
That's very cool. That basically means both of these things are available. And if you see the first time that you have an agent listening to log files, and after 72 log files, he is creating a topology for you, that was magic when I saw this first. As well, last year I talked about data model-driven automation with service as code or digitized delivery. That is something which we are doing meanwhile with more than 50 customers globally, with the biggest ones in the world, but also with smaller ones, and it's all available. So none of this is futuristic beside the AI agent. But we're going to get back to that a little later. Jochen, that one looks pretty similar to you, doesn't it?
Yeah, let's talk about the fancy stuff, right? So let's talk about what premier accounts and premier customers are actually asking us currently, right? And they do the next level of AI ops where they go much more in the proactive AI ops, where they actually, when you remember the slide from Michael, we talks about prescriptive analytics, right? You would actually to have visibility into what will happen and what you should do, right? And in order to do this, here again is the concept of a digital twin, so where you actually would like to predict the quality of change you apply into your network, right? So whatever you execute on the production network has to go through that digital twin to do kind of an what-if impact analysis. And there are some interesting use cases associated to this. So the first one here is something around sustainability. So the resource optimization of your network. That digital twin also gives you the possibility to model your sustainability figures and to have an optimal path through your network, or what we also call the green path, right? Which gives you then Carbon traffic engineering is a bit of the marketing word, but we call this also energy proportional networking capabilities. The one in the middle is also, again, a very appealing network in many service operators around mass-scale infrastructure upgrades, right? Let's say you have cell-site routers, 10,000 cell-site routers, and you want to find the best suitable upgrade path within a certain time window, right? So that means, okay, what is the right approach, A or B? What routers should be upgraded first? Which routers can be upgraded simultaneously, right? So grouping those kind of devices, while always protecting the end-user quality of experience and no compromises on the SLO, right? So what we do here in the right-hand side is also to look higher in the value stack, where you actually take crowdsourced data into the equation what you do on your network, right? Again, to my example, to map actually quality user experience to the network health, right? So here you collect data from, for instance, we have a tool now, Sam knows, right, where you can collect user disconnects and you tie it back into the process.
Very cool. So should we all have a look into how this is going to look like? So what we're going to do now is something which we haven't done. We haven't done this internally, we haven't done this externally yet, and we're going to show you a short video how all of these things are going to come together. Let's roll the video. Great. So what have we seen? We've seen the possibility to basically switch on the lights, take that information, take it into a decision capability, use the insights out of that decision to drive the automation piece, and bring it home with AI in a much faster fashion. And what we've seen yesterday, talking to AI agents to understand the configuration, that is possible today. Talking to AI agents to understand the configuration, but then also to draw conclusions. How are you going to update your data model to where you want to be? That's also possible right now. And even better, once you are seeing errors in the pipeline, once you see errors in the environment, you are able to go back to the agent and say, what's the problem with this error which I'm seeing? What should I do about this? And that is something which we've also cracked the nut. So if you are more interested in this, join us on Cisco Live US. We're going to show more around the service as code sessions with Jesse Reed, and he's going to bring more details and more longer demos about the agent. We are going to bring this out, I guess, throughout the rest of the year sometime, and it will be available for different architectures along the way. Now, looking into what we've talked about the entire environment. We are on a journey to AI ops and autonomous networks, and we can enhance right now all three different layers. We can better and switch on more lights to get more visibility. We can take better decisions along the way, and we are able to implement these decisions with structural automation, which is around since a long time. Will this journey ever end? I don't think so. This is a journey which is constantly evolving with the availability of technology was around, with the availability of challenges which we are going to see to further race. And we are in a perfect storm environment, and it's super interesting to be part of that journey all along. And I would love to close with one thing which Tom Gruber said, that he's an inventor of Siri, and he used that picture, which resonated very well with me, in the closing session of Cisco Live in Amsterdam. He basically says, never leave chatbots unattended, right? Hallucination, you're not going to anytime soon 100% put out of the picture. But what you're going to be able to is to use chatbots to create ideas much faster than you can do this, to ask for help out of all the things the AI knows, and the AI only knows the stuff which you have trained him for, right? And as better we train those, as better the decisions get. But again, back to the square one, it's a human opportunity. It's not a human challenge, and it's helping us to do things much faster, which took a long time in the past. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. And Michael, you always have good stuff to show at these sessions. I always enjoy your morning keynotes. So, I mean, question occurs to me. We've seen this with even just with automation. A lot of cool stuff, a lot of great technology. You guys touched on the kind of the wheel and the technology side. What needs to happen in the people process for a customer to get comfortable to turn some of these things on? What kind of conversations are you having? How do you prepare operations? How do you prepare leadership to actually make the leap?
Yeah, I think, and it's a super relevant conversation, right? Because it ties very closely to how is my job going to change? Or is my job going to disappear? The reality is, I think many jobs are going to change because of the capabilities which come around. And some will disappear, but new ones will appear as well. And preparing people, it's a combination out of subject matter expertise. That's the bottom layer for all of this. You cannot automate anything which you do not understand. And you cannot use, once you understand the baseline subject matter expertise, that's the know-how which most people have today. If you understand the software environment, that's a good step forward because it's all software-driven. On top of that, if you are able to understand data science and how to structure data, because AI only works with structural data, right? If you put, and excuse my French, crap in, crap out, if your data is bad and you put the bad data into that environment, you're not going to get good things out. The fourth pillar is learning about how AI and ML works. And it's very interesting to see these conversations. I love the presentation of Javier yesterday, who broke it into different pieces and who showed very nicely that AI is nothing new. What is new is large language models, which are making it much easier to interface with the AI. So educating on all four pillars and bringing all four pillars together, I think is the key. And that goes across every level, right? This will help on the decision-making end, on the top layer of companies. It will help to make decisions faster and better with better data. It helps on the managerial level, and it also helps on the bottom layer. So people and engineers shouldn't be scared of what's coming. They should embrace it because it gives them the opportunity to do things they haven't been able to do before because they repetitively did things out of the old world.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take your hand. Steal a clicker from me. Thanks, Ben. So from this, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to invite Eric up on stage. He's going to talk about Crosswork Network Controller, what we have in store, get your feedback. And I know this has come up a couple of times. We've had a lot of conversation about AI, and we've gotten questions, well, where is this going to show up? And one of the cool things about CNC, it will be one of our vehicles for taking a lot of our AI and AIOps capabilities and delivering it to you, and really allowing you to get more out of the things you've invested in already. So, Eric, I'll hand things off to you.
Thank you, Omar. Good morning, everyone. I must say it's a challenge to present after the very nice presentation we just have. So now we are really going down to earth and see what we do today, what exists today. You will see some of the tools that were mentioned during the previous presentation. And you will see also, we will discuss also about the roadmap, what we have in mind, and how we will not reach autonomous networks soon, but at least we want to take that path and provide the right techniques to do so. I'm Eric Orto. I'm a product manager in the automation group for service providers. And today, so we are going to discuss about the CNC, the Crosswork Network Controller. I will give you an update, and we'll discuss about the roadmap. So in terms of agenda, I would like to go first a little bit about CNC itself. Just a quick recap. I think not everyone in the room is familiar with what CNC does today. So we'll go over this. What's new in CNC 7.0, which is our next release, which is expected in August this year. And I will focus on some of the new features around the EMS capabilities, the service health that were mentioned earlier, sustainability that we discussed yesterday. And then we'll go into the strategic directions and the roadmap. So just to position CNC in the complete orchestration architecture, if you want. CNC is a blue box on the left, and it's really our IP SDN controller, managing multi-vendor, multi-domain IP networks, packet networks, and we have also an optical controller, which can take care of the optical infrastructure. On top of this, we can find our hierarchical controller, HCO, which can discuss and get information from and control the two domain controllers. If we drill down into CNC, and I apologize, I have no pointer, so I will try to show with my finger. So the Crosswork Network Controller is this big box with multiple features, multiple components, if you want. I mentioned earlier the element management. We'll go back to this element management piece, which is that we are improving over and over, just to make sure that you can manage basic device functions like fault, performance, software upgrades directly from the controller. When we started CNC, the goal was to provide something where we could do service and transport provisioning, intent-based service provisioning. We are using NSO. NSO is embedded into CNC, and we support the NSO model, if you want, and we provide some predefined, ready-to-use models for layer 2 VPN, layer 3 VPN, SRT, SRv6, and so on and so forth. And once we provision those services, we want to provide visualization, meaning we want you to be able to see your service on a map. You should be able to drill down into the service details. What are the components? What are the characteristics of a given service? We do it for the slice as well. And recently, and we will come back on this, we started to add the service assurance piece to the service definition. So what we call service health, that will allow us to monitor the service all the time and to provide root cause analysis and things like that. This is a service assurance piece that you see at the bottom. We complete the service monitoring by itself with probing. Could be external probing like Accedian, or internal probing like Y1731 or SRPM if you are in the Cisco world. A key component as well is the network optimization. So we have this piece called COE, Optimization Engine, which talks to the PC, to the path compute engine, and so that we can optimize the network in real time. So we'll come back on this as well. The COE, Optimization Engine, is the first use case, or one of the use cases for closed-loop automation. We keep receiving information from the network using a BGPLS typically, and we are going to, the COE, the Optimization Engine, or the PC are going to make decisions to reroute traffic, to create new paths, and things like that. We do congestion mitigation and things like that. Moving forward, we want to add more and more closed-loop scenarios in the product. And why? Because we get a lot of information. We have all the topology. We get all those KPIs. We got all those faults coming from the network, all the BGPLS updates. And thanks to all this information, we should be able to make a smart decision, or at least to give some recommendation to the network operator to make smart decision. Of course, all this comes with a set of APIs. So if you want to integrate the Crosswork Network Controller into the larger OSS system, you can do it as well. We have a session. After this session, one of the breakout will be around those APIs if you want to have more details. So, sorry, a very busy slide. what's new in CNC 7.0. Before I go to the new piece, which is should be in purple. I hope it's purple on this side. Just very quickly, what we do, what I already mentioned, I guess, starting from the top left. So provisioning for slices, for services, for transport, visualization for the same. If you were here yesterday, we are adding sustainability KPIs as well. Service health monitoring, we'll come back on this, but the idea is to be able to monitor the service KPIs and sub-component KPIs as well. Device management function, I mentioned a few of them, we'll go back to that. RON for routed optical network support, programmable closed-loop automation, transport slicing, and real-time network optimization. If I want to go quickly on what CNC can do. And of course, it comes with a platform with common services, where we start providing geo redundancy, dual stack support. What we are going to introduce in 7.0 is what we call a single VM, so a lightweight version of CNC running on a single VM. In 7.0, it will be for EMS, so for device management function only. In 7.1, next year, we'll have a complete CNC on one VM for small networks. A few new features that are coming in 7.0 as well. So the purple ones, so the support for large layer 3 VPN. We have customers with very, very large layer 3 VPN. Think about mobile backhaul. Usually those guys are very, very large layer 3 VPN, so we had the need to support this. So not only from a provisioning, but also from a visualization perspective. I already mentioned the energy dashboard, energy KPI that we are going to introduce as a proof of concept. First, service health monitoring, we are introducing the what we call historical trending, so making sure you can graph KPIs over time. Support for layer 2 VPN over circuit style. Very quickly, circuit style is a specific flavor of segment routing, where you have bandwidth guaranteed SRT policies. And you will see a name like PLE, private line emulation, which is a new type of service that we offer over those circuit style policies. Yeah, and we'll go into the details of device management function for CNC 7.0. So let's focus a little bit about those new device management functions. Well, actually, they are not really new. I mean, but they were missing in CNC. We used to have them in EPNM, in our EMS, NMS system, but they were missing in CNC, which was an issue for customers. They wanted to be able to manage their devices, their inventory, their software upgrade directly from the controller. So that's what we are adding in 7.0. So once again, if I start from the left and from the bottom left, we are introducing more device fault management. So making sure that we can collect traps, syslogs, and alarms from the device, provide the right API on top of this, display the status on the map, which is obvious, but that was missing, and giving you some capabilities to manage the life cycle of the alarm. So being able to acknowledge, unacknowledge, put notes, and so on. Device inventory management. Inventory is a key activity. It seems maybe a little bit stupid, but that's really, you need full visibility on your network, on your interfaces, on your PSU, on your line cards, and so on. Transceiver. So that's what we are doing in the inventory piece. Sometimes we call it deep inventory because we try to really collect all the information from the network. And that's really critical. So we provide inventory visualization. We provide also zero-touch provisioning. This is not new. This has been around for some time now. But the combination of the two is quite interesting. We improve also the device image and config management. So now you can start doing what we call SWIM using CNC. I think there were yesterday or the day before some presentation around the router mission kit. So we are going to go even further with fleet upgrade and some more advanced scenarios around image management. And last but not least, performance management. So being able to collect KPIs at any level, could be device, pluggables, and so on, setting thresholds, providing historical view of this. And of course, once again, providing some APIs to access to the data so that you can integrate with a larger system. Going back very quickly to the inventory, so just to show a few screenshots of what it looks like. So from a device, you can expand the device in a tree and see the components. You see the status of the component. You get the details, the serial number, the product ID, the state of the component. So we try to collect a lot of useful information for you and display this CNC interface. Same for fault management. So now you have one unified view of all the device fault coming into the system. You can click on an alarm to get more details. And then we have a few settings to manage how you want to collect, keep the alarms, purge the alarms. The idea is to have really a network-wide alarm event visualization. And I did not mention, but yeah, we display the alarm status on the map as well. Performance management, once again, no big revolution if you want, but once again, this is all in the same place, in the same product. And as I mentioned earlier, it will come in as a single VM pretty soon. So it's really a very nice solution where you can do all your device management as well as service provisioning and network optimization in the same solution. The idea here is really to be able to collect any kind of KPIs at a device level, to collect them, to store them, to be able to display them on the map and on the small reports or dashboards. Last but not least, I wanted to mention, so I'm not going to mention all the features at that stage, but I just wanted to mention quickly the SWIM. So SWIM stands for Software and Image Management. So what we did in CNC 7.0 is that we give you the opportunity to be able to upgrade your devices. Could be XR, XC today. You can do it on demand. You can schedule the upgrade. We can manage the smooth upgrades and so on and so forth. So quite some good capabilities to upgrade your Cisco routers in that case. Changing topic, let's discuss a little bit about service health. Service health is not new. It has been around for some time. Very quickly, I will explain how it works. When we define a service, so it's a service model, it's an NSO service model, we are going to define which sub-component we want to monitor, how we want to monitor them, what could be the state, what should be the right state, the normal state, what could be the issue, what could be the symptoms, and what could be the resolution, the potential resolution. Once you provision your service, we are going to start monitoring all those sub-components, and we are going to build this assurance graph that you see in the middle, where you can see all those sub-components, and for each of them, you will see the state. You can click on one of those sub-components, typically one which is in degraded state, and it will give you the potential cause, potential symptoms, and what should you do to fix the issue. If you remember Paola's presentation yesterday, she showed that in more details. You can go back in the past, so you can check if this issue has been around for some time, and then that should help you to fix or to at least to understand where the issue could be. We leverage one technique. This is not the only one, but Cisco has this SRPM framework, where you can do end-to-end measurement, so latency, jitter, loss. It's based on TWAMP, so it can use TWAMP receiver, if you want, any kind of TWAMP receiver, and it will provide latency jitter loss at different level. It can be at the link level, it can be at the SR policy level, or it can be between two IP endpoints if you want. So that's what we try to summarize. We do it at the link level today. So that's quite useful to know what's the latency and jitter and loss for a given link. And this is going to feed the IGP, by the way. So the COE, the optimization engine, will be able also to use this latency information to provide or to compute low latency paths, typically. So it's not only a matter of service assurance in that case, it's really a closed loop, a complete closed loop for low latency solution. You can do the same as a policy level, so you can monitor your SRT policy for link level, for latency, jitter, and loss as well. If we want to go one step further, we have developed an integration with the Accedian probing system, so that our CNC, which is in the middle, can talk directly to the to the Accedian controller and to manage end-to-end probes creation and end-to-end probes data collection. So once again, it's a closed loop where you define your service in CNC. The CNC is going to drive the Accedian controller for end-to-end probing, and the Accedian controller is going to send back the data to the CNC, and you will get access to those data into the assurance graph, just like I showed before. Changing another time of topic, so that's something we discussed yesterday, so I will go pretty fast on it. We are in 7.0, we are introducing this energy management POC. So if you remember, we want to do this blue, and if you remember from yesterday, there is a green box, which is our next goal. So in the blue box, we want to be able to collect KPIs, technical KPIs from the routers, present those KPIs at the device level, network level, and eventually at the service level. We want to show those KPIs over time, and we want to be able to detect anomalies. If you remember, what we get from the device are technical KPIs. We still need to correlate those technical KPIs with external information like carbon footprint, energy cost, so that we have a complete view of what we consume. Moving forward, what we want to do is to be able to optimize the network using the same exact KPIs and to make decisions based on what's going on in the network. And decision could be to reroute traffic, could be to shut down a useless component, or to change power or performance mode. So just a few examples. Once again, we are using the same interface, the CNC interface, to show those KPIs. You can see them on the map. You can see them directly in the topology. You can get access to the KPIs. If you remember yesterday's demo, we are showing them over time. And the next step will be also to provide advanced dashboard for those KPIs. I'm not going to go into too many details of the roadmap. 7.0, we have this POC with a number of KPIs that we can collect, thresholds. 7.1, so next year, 2025, we want to make it a real product, a real solution. We welcome your feedback, by the way, if you have any feedback, something you would like to see in the solution for energy management on CNC, on the controller, feel free to come to us. And then on the roadmap, we have a few topics like optimization, more visibility. In the previous presentation, we discussed about trending, forecasting, which are really critical as well for this activity. So let's discuss a little bit about where we want to go. We could probably spend all day long to discuss about strategic direction, so I will try to do it in 3 or 4 minutes. So it's a maybe a little bit complex, or at least a busy slide, for sure. So I will try to make it simple, let's say. Basically, we have four main technical initiatives that we see that will come into that will become really predominant in the next year or 2 years. SRv6, we see a lot of traction around SRv6, and we want to deliver the best controller for SRv6, definitely. RON, Routed Optical Networking, is a new networking architecture, which is very promising as well. We start to sell the transceiver, but now the next step will be really to deliver a new type of services on top of RON. Transport slicing, so sometimes we call it 5G, 6G, which is a little bit ambitious because we don't do the 5G, 6G end-to-end. We do, but where Cisco is really strong is in the transport piece, the transport slicing piece. And we try to have a good solution in that area as well. And Metro Edge, which is a new architecture to deliver services at the edge. So that will come with new devices, new ways to deliver services through a device fabric. So a lot of innovation as well in that area. And of course, what I did not mention on that slide is that we still have our regular layer 2, layer 3 VPN, QoS, segment routings, SRv6 standard. For all those domains, basically you can think about making sure we do the right device management, the right service lifecycle management, the right automated assurance, and we start to, or we enhance or improve the closed-loop automation scenarios. Of course, the platform itself is going to evolve as well. I mentioned the single VM CNC in 7.1, which will be a reality, even if it's not fully committed yet, but that should come. And we are going to improve the scaling, the RBAC, and things like that. That's a platform thing. From a device management, we want to make sure that typically for the Metro Edge, we can manage not only a device, but a fabric. And typically when we do service provisioning, we want to make sure that we can provision the service from a fabric standpoint, not only from a device. If I stay on the Metro Edge column, with Metro Edge, we are going to Cisco is revisiting some technologies like routed PON, PON, BNG. So you will see we are going to bring back PON management and BNG into CNC. That includes assurance. For slicing, we have a few gaps around QoS management, around synchronization management that we want to fix. For RON, as I mentioned, we are going to see more and more new services like PLE. So once again, when we speak about service, we speak about provisioning, and we speak about assurance. So in any case, we need to improve the two. In terms of closed-loop automation, we want to focus on closed-loop remediation. Once again, we have all the information that we need, or we have a lot of information that we can leverage and take action, or at least give recommendation. Coordinated maintenance is a use case on which we are working as well as we speak. We discussed about sustainability yesterday, so once again, this is a domain where we can really do a lot in terms of solution. So as a last slide, very quickly, just to give you a glimpse of the roadmap as we speak. Nothing is committed. I have a usual disclaimer somewhere that even if I told you something today, maybe it will be not true tomorrow. So you have to check with us what we are going to deliver actually. But typically we want to do 7.1, probably first half calendar year 25. We want to make sure that we enhance this Metro Edge solution. We do the SRv6 controllers that we We do support SRv6 today, but we want to improve the solution, so we are going to spend some time. The energy management solution, the fleet upgrade, so maybe some of the new scenarios with the Crosswork workflow engine that will be integrated with CNC. And then moving forward, everything that I mentioned earlier, so you will see more element management function, you will see more energy savings or energy management solution, and so on and so forth. And of course, in 2026, we expect to have a lot more of AI ML scenarios, closed loop, better closed loop scenarios, predictive traffic analysis, the advisory and recommendation engine and things like that. So we have a lot of ideas for 2026. Once again, feel free to come to us and share your feedback or your expectations for the controller. So as a conclusion, once again, CNC 7.0 is really our unified controller for IP transport, including service provisioning, network optimization, device management, service assurance, network optimization. We start with a single VM EMS, if you want, in 7.0 for small networks, so that at least you don't have to deploy a large infrastructure to start playing with the controller. And then we have a roadmap where we want to integrate more and more AI ML, more and more analytics. We want to integrate with a workflow manager that you saw yesterday, I believe, and because this is going to open a lot of use cases. And of course, as I just explained, we are going to continue to align with the Cisco main initiative like SRv6, RON, 5G, transport slicing, and Metro Edge. This is what I wanted to share with you today. I hope it was useful. Thanks for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. So, one question for you. This is a bit of a loaded question because I know the answer, but we get this a lot. So is this a Cisco-only thing? Does this work across multiple vendors? What's the deal here?
Thanks for the question, Omar. Yeah, I think I mentioned it at the beginning, but yeah, CNC is a multi-vendor, multi-domain solution. So we support multi-vendor.
So all these things we talked about, the service health,
absolutely,
insurance,
absolutely.
all these things,
yeah, exactly.
what you're running. Cool, good to know. Thank you, Eric. I'm gonna steal this clicker from you. So I do want to try to connect a little bit to what we talked about, some of the things Eric touched on in terms of AI, ML. We see, why do we have NSO? Why do we have CNC? Part of it is, some of you like to roll up your sleeves and get grease under your fingernails, and that's why you have NSO and workflow and assurance. But some of you I just want to use the tools to do things. I don't want to build the tools. And this is where CNC fits into the portfolio and things like AI, right? So even with CNC now, we have automated local congestion mitigation where we use the same algorithm we use in planning to help figure out whether there's going to be service congestion. And then either we can tell you, hey, there's going to be service congestion, or you can turn on the automated, you can turn on automated local LCM, and it'll do tactical SR policies to help adjust that automatically. Same thing with, you look at our sustainability story where we can start with doing basic things like anomaly detection, pattern detection, start doing some forecasting in terms of the greenness of your paths and those sorts of things. And the roadmap-y types of things is the tool will come back and talk about, hey, here's some potential configuration changes you can make to help you with lower energy consumption or have more greener traffic paths and those kinds of things. So definitely keep an eye on CNC. There's a lot there. But it really is kind of the tool to say, how to focus on running your network as opposed to building tool sets out. So we're going to go even deeper down down our automation stack and switch gears and dig into NSO. So I think my NSO team's over there somewhere. Nils Petter, Martin, and Martin. Come on board. Have fun.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I hope you're still awake since yesterday. We're super happy that you made it here since yesterday. We will have a few discussions about the future of NSO. And since it's so bright, we have 4 of us that would like to talk about it. The reason is, of course, also we have in our organization what we call the product leadership team, yeah. which is me, Nils Petter. This is product manager. And those who actually are the brain trusts are the three guys over here. We have PO, Christian. Yeah. Supermaster architect, Martin. And then, to make things easier, as usual, we have yet another Martin Åkström, product owner as well. So if you haven't reached out to us and discussed about NSO features so far, we will still be around for the rest of the day, and the rest of the NSO engineering team will also be around. But now we have a few things to talk about going forward, what we've done pretty recently, and what's coming up.
It's me. All right, yeah, I'll talk a little bit about the past, and then before you can question that, I will hand over and you can vote about the future. So, a quick summary of what we have done since last Developer Days, really. So we had 2 releases since then. We have NSO 6.2 and 6.3. And we did stuff, in short. No, so we have worked with sort of internally work with themes, and we have invested quite heavily in usability and performance, and mostly operational performance. So in 6.2 we could see quite a lot of things in terms of upgrades, a lot better upgrade performance. We did some internal improvements also in CDB routines. We also continued our cloud friendliness story with adding a developer or a build container for our container that we deliver with each release. And then we did a lot of in usability. We started to upgrade our web UI to make it more modernized, make it perform better than it has. We created a interface in the web UI for compliance reports, which we also have done quite a lot of work with compliance reports themselves. And some nice things in documentation, and we're publishing change logs on DevNet. Yeah, and some observability stuff also. And then in 6.3, we more or less continued with those themes and in terms of usability and performance. But we dove into a lot in device management. We tried to find some easier ways to onboard devices, device rename, those kind of actions that can be quite expensive to do, but in order to make them easier. We have continued to invest in VS Code, adding, we have a template tester so you can, or to help you develop service templates with VS Code. And we continue with the performance stuff, so with the parallelization of upgrade performance has made huge improvement in upgrade times. We will have some slides later on also that goes into more details about those things. And then 6.4, this is our preliminary kind of roadmap for 6.4. We are hoping that we can add some cool stuff for brownfield improvements. And if you saw the talk yesterday from Klaus and Erdem, of course, the new persistence layer, which would make a huge difference in memory management. And then we are continuing with the usability stuff. We are investing. That's a kind of an ongoing story that we were constantly trying to improve the usability of NSO in different ways. And I think we have done quite a lot in those areas, actually. So I don't know if you want to go from here.
Yeah, sure. So I will dive a bit deeper into and repeat a bit of the things that Martin just went through. So I'm going to talk a bit about some of the themes that we have, continuously working on the previous releases and that we spent a bit more effort on. So one of the biggest one is operational performance. That means that we spent a lot of time changing like how you operate, you administrate and maintain NSO, not directly focus on like traffic patterns, but more maintenance of the system. So in 6.1, we added a new action called package add, for example, which made addition of NADs hitless. We have also added this HRAFT, which is sort of tailored to be used in cloud environments as a high availability solution. Also added compaction control, making it easier to schedule when you want to do CDB compactions. In 6.2 and 6.3, we've focused mainly on upgrade optimization. We'll show that in the next slide, and that we're really proud of, what we managed to do there. We also added parallel validation. We haven't talked much about that, but that's also been done for better CPU utilization. In the future, we are continuing the upgrade optimization journey. We don't believe that we're done just yet. We are continuing to improve the package add, to increase the scope of it, so we can add NADs hitless. Also looking into parallel schema loading. That's sort of like part of this. Oh, sorry. Part of the upgrade optimization, but it's also part of startup times, for example. We're looking at improving the sync time for the high availability cluster. Also looking on how to improve package reload, not just making it faster, but also less interruptive for your system. So here are some numbers on the CDB optimizations that we've done. So as you can see, the improvement is quite significant. So if you didn't attend Matte Ljunggren's presentation day one, these are the bragging numbers. So not just improving the package reload, the normal upgrade, but also NAD migration. I'll add it. And in the future, so this is sort of for you who attended Matte Ljunggren's presentation, he had the same slide here. This is things, I mean, how we've improved it in the current versions, but also a bit future looking on what we're considering next. That means like moving out stuff from the critical section, so it's less interruptive. For 6.4, one of the major things that we're focusing on is the new persistence layer. I hope you all watched the presentation yesterday by Claes Sten and Erdem. So it will result in a minimized startup time, non-blocking CDB compaction, reduced memory consumption, offloading to disk. So here are, don't care about the numbers, but this is what you can expect in terms of startup time. If you see that it's going to be significantly reduced if you have a lot of data in your CDB. Another thing we haven't talked much about is that we're focused a bit on device management. So for 6.3, we added this onboarding of devices in a single step. That's basically what we do here on the right, making it easier to, configure the device with as little information as possible, and then get it operational in a single step. We have also added support for device renaming. That has been a long-standing request with our customers. It's been very hard, previously to change the name of devices without much complexity. We also added more efficient listing of service modifying a device. So that has many use cases, and it has been previously been very slow. We have now improved it. We also added device status timestamps, so you can see when the device was last touched, for example, and that kind of stuff. We actually added the same thing for services as well. We also added a capabilities explorer on DevNet, so you can more easily plan on what has changed with the NEDs, for example. Right, so next thing, we've also looked a lot on compliance reporting. It has been functionality, been existing in NSO for a long, long time. But we haven't done much about it. So now we have put a lot of effort in fixing that. So reduced memory requirements is much faster because it runs a lot of the checks in parallel. It's more extensible. I mean, the final report will all be written as a SQLite database, so you can either use that and extract information from that, or you can, or we can format that into whatever format you like CSV or XML or whatever. So we also added this web UI for better visualization. We will continue improving on that. In 6.4, we're looking at adding compliance reports for operational data as well, not just configuration data. We added this compliance templates that makes it easier for you to handle these as well. Another thing, from 6.3, we have started our journey on modernizing our web UI, making it more accessible, new look and feel, more easy to use. So you can see we also add a new device manager in 6.3, looking to add a new service manager in 6.4, a new configurator in 6.5. So it's a bit of a journey to make all of this happen, but we're on our way. Yeah, so in 6.4, we're also launching a new documentation framework, making it easier for you to find the information you need to write your services or whatnot. And while doing that, we're also adding an AI chatbot. So you can ask the documentation for stuff, as shown here. So, over to you.
Oh, thank you. So, thanks Martin and Christian. So last year we did an exercise about what you want to see in the future. And we are in a ranking Slido. And we are going to do that today again. So if we can get the Slido up and running for the Slido management team. But first, a recap about what... So during the next few slides, you can rank the things that some of you actually filed to a Slido before, the previous few days. There's also quite a lot of things that some of you have been discussing with us verbally, either during these days or previously. So please go ahead and look at that. But last year, the top ones, the top 10, was these ones. At that time, it was a lot of discussion about, as an example, how do we actually benefit from new concurrency capabilities? And that kind of documentation has been heavily improved. Individual package reloads, we're not there. Christian really talked about how we actually improve upgrade and package reloads as is. We see in the future if we'll be able to do that, but of course, all about anything that minimize the operational downtime due to any kind of upgrade is really important for us. What else was... So we had a long discussion about Resource Manager, the RM, both here and afterwards, and we have put quite a lot of new features into it and improvements there, also including documentation. I think we have also had a session about that with Key. So that's a few things. And 11 to 20, upgrade wizard. No, we don't have an upgrade wizard. Sorry for that. Might come later on. But we actually added much more observability functionality. So you actually, NSO is a little bit more visible during upgrade. Template folders, also a long ongoing discussion. We have it in the backlog for 6.4. I think, and then we have a few things like LDAP and TACAX was also in voting, and it's actually already released. Genia 2-like template processing was also something that we discussed. The RAC team had a presentation about their Genia templates that you can then add on top of NSO. So things are happening there. So that was a few things that we talked about last year, really taking care about your input. And for this year, yes, some of you have added a few suggestions. There's a few ones that we didn't really understand. So Martin Kjellin is curious about if anyone could elaborate about the things we have here. And so we haven't had too much interaction with the audience using mics, but we will actually use mics now. And we also would like to bribe you, I think, looking into Niklas, if we have any caps or something like this, for those who actually would like to say something. So now I hand it over to you, Martin.
All right. I'm Martin Kjellin, as you know by now. So we have a few comments that we might understand, but need some clarification. And as Nils Petter pointed out, there's a free hat in it for you if you interact a bit with me. So the top one, registering commits for service deployment. We're not 100% sure what is meant by this. It could be something that is solved by our phase provisioning feature, or it could be something completely different. So do we have anyone in the audience who feel that this is my comment and would like to elaborate on it? Otherwise, I keep the hat myself.
Over there.
Thanks. Yeah. So, thank you. When redeploying a service, there is no commit register that allows us to go back to the previous situation. So, unlike when a service instance is created and you can roll back to how it was before, if we redeploy a service instance that was already existing and there was a new version of the service and we screw up completely our network, we have no way to go back. I thought that it could be a nice feature to have. Commit a rollback file to go back to the previous
configuration history for your service data in like version control-like manner. That's clear. That's one of my favorite features that we don't have at the moment. So you well-deserved hat. Thank you.
Just over there.
All right.
So we have
more
comments.
Okay.
What about CLI level security? You know, if you access virtual machine with NCS user, you can launch NCS CLI, no questions asked.
Yes, that's right here, right? So I will jump back and forth since you raised up your hand here. When it comes to access control on the NSO CLI, there's a couple of options that you can do today. You can disable it and enforce SSH to get access control. There's a method to use a secret in a file and use file system permissions on that to get it done. So to a certain extent, you can do it, but what you're looking for here will be solved in NSO 6.4, where we are introducing the option to use Unix domain sockets for the IPC, so that will give you this access control on a user level. So that feature, when we talk about it, is going to be called authenticated IPC. It's a security requirement. So you can do a bit of it today, but exactly what you're asking for is coming in 6.4. We have another question next to you, so you can pass over the mic to the gentleman.
Yeah, the second question in the previous page. Yeah, it was my. So if I have a service that controls two devices, then if one of the devices is locked, if I send the service-specific configuration, then it will not be queued for both devices. It will give the device overlap configuration error. But if I send the device-specific configuration, then it will be committed for the active. For the locked device, it will be committed, queued. But for the service-specific configuration, it will not be queued.
Would you like to comment, Christian? This is kind of your area.
I think I need some clarification.
So imagine I have one service that has 2 devices connected, right? And one of the devices is locked. So if I send the configuration commits, which relates to both of the device in service level, it will not be queued.
No, I mean, you can use the commit queue and use this, what is called a non-atomic option. So then you will push to the device that is not locked while we are waiting for the device that is still locked. So there is this feature already exists in the commit queue today.
Okay, thank you.
We can grab me after and I can go through it more thoroughly if you want.
All right, so the third one here is perhaps not so hard to understand what you mean, but I like to emphasize a bit that doing lots of things in batches in one transaction made perfect sense in NSO 5.x and earlier, but with a concurrency model of NSO 6, we kind of recommend that you keep your transactions individual and do one thing per transaction. So the question here is not really what you mean by it. My need for clarification here is more around, is there a particular reasoning why you would like to batch several services in one particular commit? Do you need that kind of inter-service instance transactionality, or what? Is there can you convince me that we should spend time on that instead of saying that you should do separate commits per service instance?
That was kind of a challenge.
Yeah. I'm not always nice.
We are forced with service windows where we have a 2-hour time frame to move 1,000 services. On slow devices, you can't put 1,000 commits into the slow device, so we have to combine them. Even though you have concurrency in NSO, it's a device constraint.
Have you thought about using a commit queue?
But it's still the process of running commits and takes minutes or sometimes
so
half a minute.
Does this really help you or to batch it service-wise?
I mean, you could parallelize on the transaction level to get more throughput through the service level. And if you are at the same time committing to the commit queue on the device level when you're pushing the configuration network, that will be parallelized by the commit queue. Perhaps that will solve it for you. I don't know. Let's have a discussion afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. Meet us afterwards and we dig into it even further. It's not impossible to solve it. All right. So one of these we already touched upon. Some of this we don't. Native TACAC support we launched in NSO 6.2. It is provided within the NSO installation as a package with the TACAC support. So ready to use out of the box. So that one is there. When it comes to native automated software upgrade capability for Cisco devices, I would like to refer you to our router automation kit, which solves this for you when it comes to fleet management. And around the comments...
And we have a question.
Sorry.
Comment over here. Sorry.
It's very interesting because there's also an NSO upgrade package provided by CX for upgrading your devices. What's different between CNC there? Because we're currently in discussion about that.
when it comes to what's different between a CX offering and our router automation kit, I'm not exactly the right person. Do we have Omar here might want to
I can I can address that. So they have slightly different focus, right? I mean, we built router automation kit on top of NSO, on top of workflow for folks that want a product that they want to own as opposed to a CX service. The other piece of this is with the router automation kit, it's something that you can edit yourself. I think that was shown in one of the demos earlier this week. So it's a product model, much like NSO is, in that you have, you buy product, you buy IP, the code is yours. You can adjust it the way you want. CX is for folks that want the turnkey push button approach, where they just want the outcome and they pay CX to build the service and go execute it for them. So again, you can kind of pick the thing you want. Our longer term strategy is to take the things that we are building for router automation kit, things like fleet upgrade, things like compliance checks, ZTP, and make those available through CNC. But it's the same code, it's the same product that is available standalone as rack and CWM. So there's consistency of the components and how they operate.
But But I don't know if the router automation kit is per se software upgrading of an iOS XR or XE router. And I believe this is the question about that. But because in the last presentation about CNC, we saw that they also had device management where they can upgrade the router software to a new iOS or XR version. But there is also a package delivered by CX that does exactly the same, but support techniques, but they don't have really a good support case around it. So it's really hard. And when it's in CNC, there's a support case around it, which makes sense.
So right now there's so router automation kit I think is XR only now. It'll move towards multi-language and multi-OS as a roadmap item. So if you're looking today, see which one is a better fit, or you can certainly, folks from my team that run router automation are running around here somewhere, they can chat. Oh, Way's right in front of you. He can answer that.
I will. We can talk. I will. Thank you.
So, I mean, they're parallel. They're slightly different technically, so they're not exactly the same. The CX offer and the productized offers. I think it's more find the thing that is a better fit for what your current needs are.
Okay. Thank you.
Also, question. Thanks a lot. And Omar, you might get a cap as well. Thank you.
I get a cap? Yeah.
Some more.
We are using, hello. We are using CLI nets. Are we going to see also REST API net for multi-vendor or?
Yes. We have some REST nets already, and so it's possible for us to do.
Okay.
So it's. If the demand is there, it can be done. There's nothing stopping it. We have the implementation to do that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you all. Really nice interaction. Okay, so last point here, we're running out of time. So, as Martin showed, we have web UI for compliance reports already released in 6.2?
6.2.
6.3.
6.2.
6.2. Okay, so so that one I like to think that we have solved. Okay.
Thank you. So yes, we'll be around for the entire day. So please show up if you have more questions. We really love to have your views. Extremely interesting with the ranking. I would say in-service package, reload of single package, new or existing, still very popular. Point taken. And together with zero downtime. So understood. Still very important to continue to minimize the need of a service window. Please have a look at the latest releases like 6.3 and the things that are coming up in November in 6.4 in this aspect as well. And apart from talking to us today, don't really wait until a year then after today to wait for feedback or interact with us. Please join us also at the Developer Hub. Continue, because some of the things that we have, I see here, especially about documentation, a few things about the surrounding tooling. Will be able to continue to release outside the standard release schedule. We have 2 releases per year, but a few things are not really connected to that. So have a look at the Developer Hub and interact there as well, and we'll be there for you. I think that was really it from us.
You've got 6 minutes to fill still, so. Yeah, weren't you going to do a dance number? So I want to emphasize what Nils Petri just said about Developer Hub. Everyone you see here, our engineering team, they all sit on that Developer Hub. They answer questions directly. So as much as it's fun and cool to come to Stockholm and hang out with these cool guys, they're online probably more than they should be. They should be busy coding and stuff. Anyway, we do have 2 Slido questions.
Oh, nice.
So if we can pop those up. They're nothing I can answer, so hopefully they're questions that you can. Or not?
Ooh. Anyone that would like to comment about the encryption keys?
So for the second one, I would say no.
Okay then.
I think we could elaborate about it. Currently, no.
I mean, when it comes to longer encryption keys, though, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? We can do it.
If we wait long enough, maybe the answer.
So as you hear, there is no concrete plans, but yeah, for encryption keys, I think that's.
Why not means an uncommitted yes.
And point taken, we're natively supporting Gina templates. And we have a few more. Yeah. I think you can only get 1 cap. No worries.
Next year we need socks.
3Ks and more, not just 3Ks.
No. Yep. Valid. Thank you for the comment. Definitely.
Anything else? Last call?
Well, it's not that late. Last call.
I just want to clarify. So, hello, is this? Yeah. So when we say NSO Developer Hub, that means the new name, Crosswork Automation Hub, but the discussion forum, the NSO discussion forum is still there. It's still the same name, and that's in parallel with the CVM discussion forum. So there will be more discussion forums to come, but yeah, we all say NSO Developer Hub by old habits, right?
Because we're old.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, in that case, some older than others. In that case, we can go to break 3 minutes early. Are we doing quizzes now or later? Okay, I lied. We're gonna do quizzes now and get you to breaks. After the break, we'll be back here, more user stories, a lot of cool content, but the breakout sessions also kick off after the break as well. So with that, Pradeep, I will hand things over to you and you can help us win prizes.
Hello. Okay, so my favorite time of the day. So while we were talking about all the giveaways, we talked about the caps, but there are some additional ones. You also have some Swedish candies, Nicholas. So there are many things to get, and you can ask for Nicholas, okay, if you don't want this, can I get the other one? So we have around 58 people now. I'm just waiting for this number to rise up.
We're going to pick up the winners from previous days and today, and we're going to ask you to come for the final showdown. We're going to do some more games and more fun stuff and more prizes. So if you won prizes earlier, be prepared for the final showdown.
Yeah, we have the proper setup with buzzers and everything. You'll be on the stage. So 72, can we take it to 100?
Okay, so, 75. Thank you. So let me get started. So here's your first question. The binary resulting file from compiling and building your Docker file is known as? We have 79, so it's rising. 80 people. I'll wait for everyone to answer. I don't have a timer on this. Okay, 75. Okay, so let's see what was the answer for this. So this is the voting percentage. Okay, moving to the next one. What is the status code that would likely indicate your application has hit an API rate limit? That's 429. Moving to the next one. Which approach to infrastructure as a code defines the desired state of a job? Moving to the next. If you have listened to the presentations that we're doing here, you should be able to answer this. What is the latest version of CNC available today? And when you were here, you listened to Clarence talking about SRv6 microsys. What are the benefits of using SRv6 microsys in your network? Oh, we see Robert again on the top of the leaderboard. So congratulations, everyone, for participating in this quiz and making this an interesting thing for all of us. I hope you have had a great time, and we still have another amazing showdown at the end of the day. So if you are on the top of the leaderboard, reach out and finally be here on the stage somewhere around 4, right, Nicholas?
Yeah. But now we'll take a break from 10 to 10:30. So when you come back here, we'll have a presentation on our customer experience and customer hours that we'll present. All right.
Breaking through the scene with Ethernet's power, their victories for.
Hey guys, welcome back. So more cool stuff between now and lunch. So a couple of things. If you have not done so already, take a couple of moments on the next break or at lunch and go check out our partners. They bring a lot of value to the table. They have some great experience, some great insights, and they're definitely worth a conversation, chat with them. And also the reality would not be able to do this without the support of our partners. One of which is Ductus, who has been a partner for us for forever, it seems, from the very beginning. So this is a great example of the expertise that they can bring to the table to help you with the kinds of things you're trying to accomplish. Now, if you have ever wondered, how do I build an automated IP core? This is a session for you. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Klaus and have some fun.
Thank you very much. So introduce myself. My name is Klaus Fangren, and a couple of years ago I got a golden opportunity in Denmark actually to build a completely new network from scratch, including an automation stack. And that's what we have been doing since then, you could basically say. Also going to say that I'm not that used to being on stage, and I'm pretty nervous, so I have one ask, so please laugh at my jokes. And here's the first one. All telcos have a lab network. Some have a production network also. And if it was 10 years ago, I guess half of you would be deploying network things right now, but okay, that didn't work.
Okay, yeah, good to see. So I'm Peter Salnag, representing Ductus. So as you see on my title, I'm in sales, but I do have a technical background, so hopefully I can bring some of the technical aspects to this project as well. And hopefully we will see a production network as well going forward.
And a lab network.
And a lab network, of course.
Okay, so as I said, golden opportunity in Denmark. I'm employed by Nuday. Nuday is the largest telco in Denmark. It's around 14.5 million DKK in revenue, which corresponds to like 22 billion Swedish crowns nowadays. And that's not the joke, actually. Nuday has 6 brands, the major ones being TDC and UC being the B2C part, and TDC being the B2B part. The other ones we call new brands, which is upcoming brands that searches for new customers. There's around 6 million customer relations, 3,000 employees. And one of the reasons why we can build an IP core, or we can build a new network, in 2024, or it was 2022, is how the fiber market looks like in Denmark. So if you look to the right there, you can see the major utility companies in Denmark that also provides open networks. So basically deploying fiber and making services or layer 2 services available to service provider like Nuday is. Okay, so fast tracking a bit of history. What is Nuday and where do we come from? Nuday was until 2019 called TDC. And if you look at the question there, can telcos create money by breaking up? If I knew the answer on that, I wouldn't be here. I would be taking my yacht to Bahamas and enjoying retirement. But it's a trend that you do that, right? Because you split it up into infracos and servcos or opcos, or there's many names of the ones that is not the infraco. And you do that to raise the value of the company, basically. So in 2019, it was decided that TDSnet should split up into a servco and an infraco or a netco. And the name of the servco was then Nuday. And TDC became TDCnet, basically. So this was 2019. In 2021, we decided that, or Nuday actually decided that we need to have a new strategic initiative. That initiative is to build our own IP core network and then utilize these other fiber networks to reach the customers. And that's, of course, it's a golden opportunity for people like you. Build a brand new network with a brand new automation stack, don't care about legacy. I mean, the best networks are the ones without the customers, and we don't have any customers yet in the network. So, yeah. And of course, to be able to do that, we needed really good partners, one being Ductus, the other one being Cisco.
So a little bit about Ductus as well then. So as you will see on our t-shirts today, we're a company that really likes automation. So we think automation rocks in many ways. We're a Swedish consultancy company. We're focusing on helping our customers in various ways with advisory services, really being able to explain or help you to choose the right solutions going forward on that. We also included in a number of development phases of deploying network automation in various ways. And we're also there to help you in the future, sort of supporting the solution, moving forward on that. And we're really happy to work together with our customers. So we are a team, and we will discuss that more in details later on. As said, we're a Swedish company. Our main office is then in Skellefteå, as it said on the quiz yesterday or on Tuesday morning, with a number of offices in Sweden, but we also have offices in the US, and we have Asian office. So we have a global delivery model, sort of helping out on the various regions when needed. We're around 300 people, and been around for a long time, and been doing this for a long time, and we're a long time Cisco partner as well. And Claes, what did you know about us when we started this journey?
Well, I've been in telco for 25 years, and I always known about Ductus in some way, but it's been a small company in the northern parts of Sweden, as I understood it. But started working with you, I realized that you're, of course, a lot bigger than that. I mean, just seeing this map makes you see that you're worldwide.
Yep. Okay.
All right, so this golden opportunity, build something new, don't care about legacy or customers from start, is of course, it was, before we can take that decision, there's a lot of strategic work, there's a lot of data that needs to be collected, there's a lot of decisions that needs to be done, because it is an investment, right? And what Nude did was that they compared themselves with the market in Denmark. It's a fragmented market, as you saw from the beginning. These different utility companies that provide open network services, basically, or layer 2 services. So what we did was we compared ourselves, to, okay, what are the needs of the market and how can we fulfill them? And what came out of that was basically that if we're going to meet, specifically the B2B space demands for being, faster market, quick, and being able to make tailored services, we need to own the part of the network that creates the services. So the layer 3 network, the PE routers, the IP core, or we also call it the IP service layer. You can also, wonder if a telco that builds a new network should invest in access network, or if we should invest in aggregation network. And all decisions or all the data that we collected show, and you also know this, right, that if you own the service production ends, that's when you own the customer and the customer experience. I mean, access networks, it would mean building, parallel infrastructures. There's a lot of investments in access networks that you need to do if you're laying fiber, whatever. That is not an option for Nude as a company. So instead, we trust that the utility companies or the fiber partners not in Sweden, in Denmark, will provide us with that, which they also do. We will drive harmonization of the services because they're not fully alike today. That differs a bit, both on capacity, quality of service, and stuff like that. But the picture is pretty clear. We're lacking the core. Let's build it. This, again, emphasis on what we're doing. There's a lot of network focus here. Right now, the automation stack will come later. Yeah, again, what you need in order to control the customer experience is definitely, the service production parts of it. What is between the PE and the CPE is, of course, very important in terms of quality and availability for the connections and the customers. But we see it as a service that we will buy from utility providers, which then makes us, being able to own the core, own the CPE, do all the automation we need on those network elements, and then, utilize what's called, there's many names of these, layer 2 services that you can buy. They can be named VULA, they can be named BSA. The good thing about them is that they're fairly standardized. There are some regulations around them in terms of, for instance, price, which make it easier for a service provider to use them to the right price. Of course, we are, Nuday and TDSnet, are sister companies. We have the same owners. So we are, of course, utilizing part of TDSnet's infrastructure also when it comes to transport, fibers, VDMs, and co-location. I lost track of time. Do you?
I think it's fine.
Okay.
Move on.
You can't build a network from scratch. That's not what you do. You don't put yourself in a garage and start soldering chip together and then build a router, right? Or doing code. You have to have good partners. You have to have good, you buy the products, you procure them, basically. We had a selection process or an RFP process on Nuday that was fairly long. If I ask my team, they loved the contract negotiations, but which were like 6 months. But you can see here we spent basically 2 years and 1 quarter to buy what we needed. And we weren't after specific, a specific router. Like a traditional telco, they replaced the PE router or the access switch or the core router, but that was not what Nuday was doing. We wanted a complete solution that included automation stack, that included the systems that we need to automate, and also a router that supports it. And, it's a pretty complicated project if you look at it. 9 sourcing projects. It's not only routers and automation. We had 33 milestones. There were 534 activities, and there were 32 steer code decisions. So, long process that ended up in, I think, the correct choice of choosing Ductus and Cisco as partners. I'm not sure if you agree.
I definitely agree on that. So as a vendor or a consultancy company always wants this process to be much quicker, of course, but we had a lot of good interactions already during this path, which has led into where we are today as well.
And I think the important part to remember is that we were looking for, an end-to-end solution. We weren't, and we weren't, as I said, not a specific, we want this type of router. But it was the complete solution that basically Cisco together with Ductus provided us with that, gives the best complete solution around all things. Okay. So there's a few proud network architects here in this room that spent not a major part of their life, but at least 1.5 year, 2 years, planning how a brand new network built in 2024 should look like. Of course, there were some, restrictions around fibers, how Denmark looks like, and co-location, stuff like that. But this is basically how a network planned and deployed in 2023 looks like. It looks, somewhat similar to how networks have looked before, but I'm very proud of this. And it also shows that Denmark isn't, it's a great country, but it's not the biggest country, which is really good when you build networks, because if you can have a fairly limited amount of PE routers and still be very close to the customer when you think of it from a latency perspective. But 19 locations, 10 core routers, 26 PE routers, and 6 border routers. And the borders are, of course, where we plan to do peering and transit. And yes, underlying, I think you can see that there's black lines here, that's dark fiber. There is colored lines, which is VDM connections. And we utilize our sister company's resources there, which is then TDCnet. Yes, you do need hardware to build a network. And you do need a design, you do need a topology, right? We chose, when we did the planning here, we chose not to go with like this big chassis-based routers who handles redundancy within themselves. We aimed for, we called it a pizza box approach, where we, instead of having redundant router engines in one router, we built a network that was separated and trusted that the fibers from sort of the backplane could handle redundancy for us. We thought that was a very efficient way of doing it. And I have 25 years in telco minus some years doing something else. But I'm not easily impressed when it comes to what routers can do. Everyone talks about layer 3 VPN. Yes, we've been doing that for 30 years. Layer 2 VPNs, that's cool, but no one wants it. But one thing that impresses me is what's happened on the optics and the capacity. And that's just blows my mind how much capacity you can forward through a network today. And with this small, tiny, not tiny maybe, but I'm going to say tiny routers that produces maybe 3-4 terabits per rack unit. And also, we of course wanted to utilize that in a modern network that we have built and deployed, without needing to think about legacy today. So we utilize the 400 gig a lot, as much as we can. We are depending on the underlying VDM infrastructure. So we're starting off with 100 gigs, but the aim is definitely to utilize a lot of the 400 gigs. And that is, from my perspective, a fantastic technology. Another important part for us was the MACsec. It's there, security is a thing, and MACsec do add, the way to avoid or do add encryption on link layer. Okay, I have no more jokes.
Okay. So I didn't prepare any jokes. I need to talk about automation then instead, I guess. So yeah, we had a long negotiation with New Day on this project, and one of the things, it wasn't just about the contract, it was also about how should automation stack look like. So we scheduled and looked at what is the right architecture to make this work in the best way, and the possibility with having a greenfield network and a whole new automation stack as well made this very interesting and good to work on. So at the center of all of this, of course, the network abstraction and activation engine, to have that, to be sure that you can model all the various services that are there, the layer 3, the layer 2, but also looking at what is the upgrades, what is the policies and so on, and all of that to be connected to the network. But we saw that that was not the only thing that we needed to focus on here, but also have the process automation. How is the communication towards the upper layers here, the OSS and the BSS layers, and making sure that that communication works well, so that there will be flow in everything. So by that, we also introduced the process automation layer on this. Then to be sure you have a network that you understand and that you know where there is a need for the inventory. It needs to be near real-time inventory, so it really meets the requirement, and this should be the source of truth. Whatever is there is what you should have in the network as well, to ensure that there is no interference from anyone else in that aspect. The next part of this is the monitoring and assurance. So once you've done the config, you put something in there, you need to make sure that it actually performs and it's doing what you expected it to do. So have that as well, and that's having the loop back into the rest of the system. So if anything is not according to what you wanted, then you should be able to correct that. As a benefit to that as well, I mean, monitoring assurance can be used in many aspects in the company. So we also implemented the telemetry system here to actually provide this data northbound up to other data services. And I don't think Klaus knows exactly who will be using this data in the future as well, but it's a service to the rest of the organization, I guess, to be able to do that.
Yeah. And I just have one comment also on when we did the procurement. I mean, we didn't define how the automation stack should look like. That was Cisco with partner Ductus that gave us a solution, right? So this is how you could do it, which we really liked. And you know, the result is here.
Yep. So once we've got the architecture in place, there is also some tools that needs to go with this. So the first choice would be the NSO platforms on Cisco, which you all know quite well by after these 2.5 days here. But it actually really meets the requirements of the communication towards the network. So that's an important centerpiece of the solution and something that we worked around for the rest of the tools as well. On top of this, we also together with our partner, when we started it was Miradot, these days they are Concha as a company name, to have something for setting up the templates per devices and making sure that the devices were correctly installed into the network. On the process automation, we looked at various options. We came to the conclusion that Camunda would be the best process automation for this specific use case that was there with New Day. Some of the things that were very important, scalability. It's a greenfield network today, but it will scale over time. We need to make sure that we have the scalability of this. We need to have high availability of the platform as well. When it comes to inventory then, we looked at, again, a number of different options. I think a lot of the telco industry is using Netbox as the inventory system. We looked at Netbox as well, but we decided on Nautobot, which used to be sort of more or less the Netbox, but then they forked out and did a bit different things in the views there. And we saw that solution would better meet the requirements we had for this specific project. They do have the combination of being an open source software, but also having a company behind. So there is also a roadmap together with the open source possibilities, which we also see that could benefit New Day moving forward on this. Monitoring and assurance, we did again go for an open source solution here, the LibreNMS for the solution. Again, one of the key aspects of anything we do here, high availability and scalability. We don't know where the network is going today. That's, I guess, the beauty of having a greenfield network as well. You don't know how well and quick it will scale. So have scalability into that was an important part of that. On the monitoring and assurance as well, we used the EPNM solution from Cisco for the more sort of specific on the element management of the Cisco devices on this aspect. So overall, 6 different tools that were going to be implemented into the stack, which you can see then 6 different tools from 6 different vendors or communities. And when Klaus talked in the beginning, he said he wanted a solution. So for us, the importance here was that even if it's 6 tools, we need to make sure that this becomes one solution that will handle the issues of the automation. They should work together. There shouldn't be sort of glitches between the various tools. They should really be seen as one solution for the whole one.
One comment there also.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look into the RFP process, the selection process that we had, you know, many of the competition, they looked at their own shelves, what products can we offer, but Cisco was brave enough in that RFP to see our needs that we had on New Day and also, partner with Ductus and say, okay, it's not only our products that we will offer, we also have this partner that we can then make a better, or we think that the solution we can create here is better for you, together with partner Ductus. And that is, that was one of the key, the key elements that we needed to make our decision also, okay, which is it going to be? And of course, it was Ductus and Cisco that we selected in the end. Yeah.
Yep. So again, the importance here is that they actually communicate seamlessly between each other. One tool should not blame the other for not working, or New Day doesn't have to go to a single sort of tool vendor to get something sorted. So everything should be working as the solution for that. And then the solution should, of course, have good communication northbound towards the BSS and OSS systems. So there should be a clear definition of that API. We're working together, or New Day is doing most of the work there of having actually the API gateway, and then we can just work towards that API gateway for all the services we have beneath that. And of course, we have the southbound APIs towards the whole infrastructure.
Just going to say that northbound API, it sounds very simple here. It's one line. It says northbound API towards BSS, OSS. It's not that simple.
I think you have also the challenges. At the same time as we doing this project, there is also an OSS project going on.
I mean, everything that goes southbound, that is so simple. You have control of everything. But when we go up, and also New Day is also transforming on the OSS BSS stack. As you might be knowing, there's a Netcracker system that goes in there. But if I'm going to spend more time on something, in the planning phase, it would definitely be on the API towards the BSS and OSS. It's so simple to focus on what you know and think of the ones above here as that will sort itself out.
So that was the solution. And then, of course, there's a delivery as well. So we looked at what kind of delivery model do we have. So first of all, one of the key aspects of this is that we don't want to do this on our own. We want to do it together with New Day. So when we form the team, it's going to be a team of Ductus people and on New Day people. On top of this, we actually have a partner here. I mentioned them before as well, Concha, which is doing parts of the solution. So when we come to the automation stack implementation, we're actually 3 different groups of people that join together, but we have a very good collaboration. We work as one team in all of these deliveries. So setting up that team and making sure that all the roles that you need are there. You need to have some kind of product owner. You need to have the product management working. You need to have your team for doing the development and all that.
And to comment here also, I mean, doing this together with Ductus doesn't only make it efficient, it also increases the competence of my team, right? So we're learning as we go along and doing the delivery, because it's not something you do, and then you tell me, okay, I'll be done in August, and then you show, okay, here's the solution, and then we must handle it. We're part of it all the way through, which makes it a real good way to get knowledge and knowledge sharing, because in the end, we're going to be responsible for this solution.
Yes, you are. So
I am? Who said that?
You said that now, so we know that.
Oh, no, it's you, Peter.
What we also included here is what we call the architecture advisory. We know that New Day has architects that have been included in this project, but we also have their experience from the industry. We've done this in a number of projects over the last 10 to 15 years. And by our experience helping New Day in taking some of the decisions through discussions and so on was very helpful in that. So we started on a day 0 project to setting up the automation stack, and at the same time also doing the network design. Since this is a greenfield network, there was a lot of network design to be done. The routers should be in place, all the switches and so on. So in that case, we actually used the Cisco CX organization as our partner for doing that part of the work. So we had even a 4th player into the mix and doing this as a team together working very well. We have now moved into the next phase, which is really setting up the whole use cases of this development. We will do it in an agile process of getting this done and making sure that there are some early wins, that you can see that the system works and that it will be a sufficient system for this. So moving on towards that solution over the coming months as well. We're in that process at the moment, so we will have to come back next year, I guess, and say that we have a production network as well. So,
no, in September, I think.
Yeah, but they don't have this in September. Of course, once this is done, as I said before, we will not just leave New Day once we've deployed it and move on to next. We will be there to help supporting the solution. In the long run, it will be more and more handed over to New Day, and they will learn more and more on how to do this and how to develop things on their own. But in the meantime, we will be there to help from a support solution point of view, but also advising on the architecture moving forward, because I think it will be still those decisions to be taken over the time. Of course, there are some platform supports coming from vendors as well, especially on the Cisco products, where the Cisco team will be the support function for the software part things.
Yeah, my comment is, network design is of course hugely important. Also, getting the templates and the config for the routers, and we've been using Cisco for that in our solution design document. And a prerequisite was of course all the work we did in the RFP or RFQ process before. I think we had a statement of compliance that we worked really hard on. It must have been, I'm probably lying now, but 1,000 requirements in it. So Cisco really also did their part of the work here, really working with us on the requirements and the solution design of the network.
So, Claes, do you have any conclusions on this? Then?
No.
No. we listed some, at least.
Yeah, we did, actually. I mean, the first one, I think we agree, right? It's all about the complete solution. If you're going to do something brand new in 2024 in telco, it has to be, what are our needs? What's the solution we're looking for? API towards the southbound, that's down. API towards the northbound. Okay, what's in between there? That we have to figure out. And the good thing about New Day and the opportunity there was that build it new and don't think about legacy, at least not for now. I haven't told my team we have to think about it in the future, but at least not right now. And I think partners, of course, brilliant partners like Cisco, Ductus, makes it easy. And building a fully automated network in 24 has other advantages also. You don't need that many people. So I think we are, I know we are 6 people on my team. 6. We're aiming to be a couple of more, but that's basically it, to drive a network in Denmark that in the end will host 1 million broadband service subscriptions and like 150,000 B2B connections. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, it is a brilliant team that we're working together with, and I think we have a lot of challenges, we have a lot of work to do, but we also have a lot of fun doing this and having good meetings and a good work culture in general.
And we wrote there, but we still need the details. Of course, it's about APIs up and down, but in the middle, there, of course, are a lot of details that needs to be handled. The network must work, the automation stack must work in the end, and it's going to be a lot of requirements coming from the business side on how to do things. They're used to doing very tailored solutions, and with the automation stack on top of that, you need to find a process to include it in some way. It's hard to say no to customers. We're going to have to say no to some requirements, but not all of them. Then, yeah. Looking for a job, that's my email address. I'm not going to employ hundreds of people, maybe a couple more, but it's going to be the right ones.
And if you want help to support you in your automation journey, of course, that's my email, and get in touch with me. I'd be happy to discuss
Maybe
this
one
further with
caveat
you.
about working at New Day, you need to be in Denmark. That's not a caveat, that's a positive thing. Denmark
guys.
is fantastic.
Thank you. You know, if this networking thing doesn't figure out, you guys might have a future in stand-up.
How many? No.
So quick question. I mean, you guys did a very thoughtful. I'm going to stand in the light because the producers yell at me. You took a very thoughtful approach to the design and building this out. I think one of the quips in networking is any network design looks great until you let user traffic on it. So, you know, from the minute you turned it up, how do you make, you know, what's your process for adapting it and extending it and, you know, new types of workloads and the like evoke? So how do you keep this fresh and current?
I mean, the scale-up is definitely the most challenging part. I mean, in the future of this network, it's about migrating customers from the IP core network they are on today, and that is the TDCnet part. So we're really working hard together with our operations department on how to look at the processes for capacity, to look at the processes for incident change, that stuff. So I think the solution is, you know, to be not only to build a network, you also need to integrate it towards your organization, because you have to remember that New Day is it's going to sound bad, but it's like an IT organization that hasn't yet become a telco part. And the telco, becoming the telco is the hard part. That includes the parts you said.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Give it to our next thing.
Thank you.
You know, Peter made a great point about, you know, picking tools, right? There isn't, I mean, as much as I love NSO, it's not the tool for everything. And really, I think any good strategy picks, you don't need like 20 tools, but like 5, 6 seems like a reasonable number. Before we get to the next session, I do want to answer one of the questions that came up on Slido. Someone with very good eyes and a design sense asked if we were using magnetic in some of the screenshots you saw. So yes, across Crosswork, we are consolidating on magnetic. It's a work in progress across the multiple tools and the like, but that is a long-term plan, so all our tools have common look and feel. Even things like workflow and NSO and those kinds of things where they're available as components as well as standalone, they will, you know, they'll all behave and look the same. So next topic I'm really interested in, you know, when we started NSO, you know, the vision was, hey, we're going to drive the world to NetConf. Over the last couple of years, we're kind of getting customers saying, you know, you guys do such a good job with the NEDs, I'm not sure I care about NetConf as much anymore. So this, I think, will be a really interesting conversation with Etienne on why you should care about NetConf. So, Etienne, I will hand things over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I am Etienne Roux. I'm a network engineer from Orange France. And I'm really happy to be here first to share my experience with the NetConf NEDs, which is my presentation, but also because I will be able to say to my kids that Dad was on YouTube, and they will be very proud. So we'll talk about NetConf NEDs versus CLI NEDs in a particular schema, because we are using a lot of Nokia SRS routers in Orange France. And then we made some quick benchmark that I wanted to share with you here. So we'll talk about the Orange France ecosystem, just to share how we are using NSO, how is our network. I will share my benchmark recipe, and of course the result. We'll see some interrupt feedback, because it's not always green. And we'll see what's next for us, for Orange France. So the Orange France NSO ecosystem, I think it's quite classic. Nothing particular, but you have 2 or 3 things to remember. To note is that the one is that we developed a GUI, a specific GUI for the operator to be able to configure the network without knowing anything about the network or NSO. We also have another ops portal to avoid for the ops to connect to NSO and to make some mistakes. NSO receive command from the web portal or from the OSS for the order management. You configure the service in our IT tool, and it sends the information to NSO that will, to Camunda and then to NSO, and it will apply it on the network. We have a lot of Nokia P routers, and this is why I will present the result on these routers. On the right, on this side, there is a use case that we are currently using with NSO. So we have the mobile backhaul router configuration. These are Nokia routers. We have the 5G CP services configuration that is based on LLDP netconf notification reception. So when the router receives a new neighbor, he sends an LLDP netconf notification to NSO, and then NSO launch the configuration of the CPE. We have some ops tool. So one is the EVPN service configuration. We are migrating our VPLS legacy services to EVPN, and we use NSO for that. We also have OLT migration, single OLT migration or massive OLT migrations, and we'll talk about it in the recipe, in the benchmark recipe. Massive OLT migration is when we do 10 or 20 OLT migration at the same time. And the last one is the upgrade of Cisco routers that we used to do with NSO. Now we move to another tool. But this is one of our use cases. And for all of these use cases, we are using CLI nets. But there is a move at Orange France to move to netconf. We want that the machine-to-machine communication avoid CLI to configure the router and even to check the router, and then to use netconf or telemetry instead of SNMP. So we have four major tools category. The first one is the TAC tools. They are developed internally by the TAC, our TAC. They are based on netconf or telemetry. We store the configuration in XML instead of CLI to be able to inject them using netconf on the routers. And we have also some other network tools that use CLI for the moment, but that we are migrating to netconf. Of course, we are using AWX and Ansible for some other use cases. We also have all of our IT that is developed internally by the IT department. All of these tools are legacy. They are based on CLI, and we are trying to migrate them to netconf, and it's a long work. And of course, unless I wouldn't be there, we are using Cisco NSO, but with CLI nets at the moment. And because we are moving to netconf on every tools, we were considering, okay, what's NSO able to do with netconf to configure the router? Then we did some checks. We generate some nets, some netconf nets, and very quickly we ask, okay, but what is the performance between netconf and CLI with NSO with a real use case that we make every day on the network? So benchmark time. I will explain how we made the benchmark And as this is a recipe, we need some ingredients. So these are our ingredients, but as in every recipe, everyone does things differently. They do, they change some ingredients. They change the measure of the ingredients. So this is ours. You can do yours. We used a VM, Nokia vSIM with EVNG in release 22.10.R3 with the MDCLI mod configure. For those who don't know, this is a model-driven for Nokia. You can also be in a mixed mode for netconf on the Nokia devices, but here we use the MDCLI. We have a very light configuration on the router. We used NSO version 5.7.8.1, quite old, but this is the one that we have into production, so it made sense. CLI NED ALU-SR 8.37, quite old too, but this is the one that we use in production too. And it's enough for what we are doing at the moment. For the netconf NED, we use the netconf NED builder to generate it. And the configuration to be applied is 4,200 lines of configuration in CLI. So more in netconf, because netconf is more verbose. So the recipe. With CLI, first, we created a rollback point on the router. Then we configure manually the router with the services that we wanted to configure and to test. So this is the 4,200 lines. Then we have added the device on NSO with the NED ALU-SR. We made a sync from to save the complete configuration. We reverted to the rollback point. It took 40 seconds. So it's 40 seconds to suppress the lines. And then we use the sync to features of NSO to apply the whole lines of configuration. And it took 7 minutes and 40 seconds for this. This is a test production, a test environment, not a production environment. So we said, okay, why not? This is the result that we have, and it's okay. It's pretty normal because we see on the production environment that when we are doing some massive OLT migration, the operation can last up to 30 minutes. So 30 minutes while the network operator is waiting for the operation to be completed. So with netconf, the process is a bit simpler. We created a new netconf on NSO with the default netconf NED. We created and compiled the netconf NED using the netconf NED builder. And we did the same, a sync from to save the complete configuration. We made a rollback on the router, and then a sync to. And then the result is 21 seconds. So 7 minutes, 40 seconds with the CLI NEDs, 21 seconds with the netconf NEDs. So it was quite impressive. So I try to apply the Kubler-Ross change curve to the netconf NED and to our reaction. So first we were shocked by the results. We rejected it. We didn't believe it. We said, okay, there might be a mistake somewhere. We'll try to deactivate some features because it's not normal. But results were the same. So setback. We accepted the results. We continued the test with other releases. And then we were really sad. Why? Because we met some blocking interrupt issues between NSO and the Nokia routers. Actually, we began to make the test with the mixed mode of Nokia SRS, and there is some very blocking point, not to configure the router, everything is fine, but to make some sync from. And if you cannot make some sync from, you are all aware that you cannot do anything. So really sad. But experiment, we discovered that Cisco developed a new netconfnet template. So it's a netconfnet template for the Nokia router, for netconf, and it solves every issues that you can meet on the Nokia devices. At least all the issues that we met. So we were really happy to discover this new net. And I thank the developers who developed it, because it really helped us. Because on the production network, we don't have the MD-CLI mode configured. We are on the mixed mode. So we cannot go into production with the netconfnet template without with the netconfnet generated by the netconfnet builder without this netconfnet template. So we made the decision to integrate the netconfnet to our NSO ecosystem, and now we are integrating it. So we are generating the net and we are modifying our RFS templates. So you saw the results, 21 seconds and 7 minutes and 40 seconds. So this is 20 times faster. So what does it mean concretely for Orange France? Is we can shorten the impact for customers. It will allow us to do more operations on the same time slot, because, as I mentioned, 30 minutes, and it will be 20 times faster, so it will last only 1 minute and 30 seconds. So it will be really great for the network operators, and we have less and less time slots for the operation, so it will be really interesting. And in a long-term way, I assume that there will be less capex invested in hardware for performance issues. Some feedback on the interop between Nokia SRS routers and NSO. First, bad news, and we'll finish with the good news. Nokia mixed mode is really painful to interoperate with Cisco NSO. The old Nokia SRS release has non-conformity either with young library support or netconf RFC. And with NSO, you have some issues to integrate it. But with NSO, the RFC compliancy changed when you upgrade your NSO release. So it might work on the NSO release, you upgrade, it does not anymore. So it's a bit complicated. And Nokia young models are not always reliable as a source of truth, because they are having a single young models for every SRS routers, and every SRS routers doesn't have the same capabilities and the same functionalities. So it might happen that you think that you are able to configure something on NSO with the young models, but the configuration won't be applied on the router because the feature is not supported. But there is good news. First, as I mentioned, there is the Cisco NSO template, netconfnet, that address the interoperability issues. Second one, if you are using or moving to MD-CLI on Nokia devices, it solves issues, every other issues on the recent version. And the Nokia SRS release 24 young models should become more stable than before, so it will be easier to progress. So what's next for us? The NSO migration to netconfnet. We are planning it in September 2024, this year. So we'll take advantage of some important new use case that we want to develop on NSO, to develop them directly with netconf models and not CLI models, and then migrating to the CLI. I think there is another presentation this afternoon at 1 p.m. on migrating to netconf.net, and it will be really interesting for us. We are migrating all of network operation processes and templates that use NSO to netconf. They are using CLI today. And one important thing is that we have the chance to test both netconf.nets. The one with the netconf.net builder net on a particular equipment that we are deploying right now, and that we are deploying using the MD-CLI in a recent release. And the Nokia SRSNC, which is the netconf.net template developed by Cisco for the older routers that are in mixed mode. So we will be able to test both nets to see the reliability and the stability of these nets. And also we are upgrading to NSO 6.1, and we will see if we experiment some new issues on netconf.nets. So thank you for your attention, and we can discuss on your experience with netconf.net. I don't know if some are using netconf.net. I don't see anyone with the light, but yeah, so there are some. Yeah, okay, great. So maybe you have some experience to share, and we can discuss it later. Even if it's on Nokia devices or on other devices. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Etienne. We have at least one question up, so if we can pop that up, that would be great. So while the questions are coming up, so as complexity grows in the configuration, would you expect the delta between CLI and netconf to grow even larger, or do you think it'd stay pretty stable? Because you said you started with pretty simple, lightweight configurations.
Yes, of course the configuration will grow and it will become more and more complex, but this is not due to netconf or CLI, this is just because we are growing the number of services. Netconf is raising the number of lines to be applied, but it's not a problem because we saw on with the net and with Nokia, the experience is a lot better.
Okay, great. I think top question you can handle, bottom question I can handle.
Yeah, a very interesting question about the native young models and OpenConfig. So we are using the proprietary young models of Nokia and not the OpenConfig ones. We don't work with OpenConfig models at the moment. Maybe we'll do it later, but as we only deploy some services on Nokia routers for the moment with NSO, we were not working on the interop on several equipments, several vendors.
Is there a reason? I mean, are you looking for something particular for adopting OpenConfig? Is it just not interesting, or? I'm curious. I mean, it comes up a lot, right? So it's kind of
actually, maybe it's a wrong approach, but we thought it's a bit like when you use a proprietary, when you used to use proprietary MIBs in SNMP versus standard MIBs. There is a lot of things in the proprietary MIBs that are not in the standard. So this is why we only looked at the native young models.
Okay, great. We want to tackle how difficult was it to translate the templates from CLI to netconf?
Yeah, okay. How difficult was to translate? It was not difficult at all because we have some tool on the routers and on NSO to generate the XML file, the XML configuration, and just it was really simple to just variabilize the template. So no issue here.
Okay, cool.
At the moment. For now.
So the question about why don't we provide more NetConf models for other vendors? So NetConf models, actually, most vendors treat them as proprietary. So we as Cisco often have a hard time accessing them. Other vendors don't provide them. You have to own service contracts to access the documentation, those kinds of things. Everything our Ned team does, they reverse engineer from whatever's publicly available. So, the CLI is a publicly available thing, so we reverse engineer from that or use published open APIs. So if you'd like more NetConf models and Neds available, talk to your vendors. It's not a thing that we as a company have control over. So with that, unless there are any other questions, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And now we're going to talk about QA. So come on board. And I will give you the clicker. Thank you.
So hello everybody, my name is Mia Johansson. I'm feeling kind of lonely up here right now, but luckily I work with quality assurance, so I'm never really lonely because that involves everyone in the organization, of course. And today we're going to zoom in a bit on how to work with quality assurance. So as automation becomes a bigger and bigger part of our lives, I would say, and the automation software projects increase. This also means that there are different levels of maturity for those doing these types of projects. The consequences of that could be maybe some lacking software quality along the way, because we don't know everything from the beginning. It could be things like lacking people, maybe lacking different roles, not knowing everything, as I said at the beginning, maybe lacking a budget. Any number of things could affect our software quality. And this could lead to a lot of things, like, for example, delays in deliveries, failed projects even, suffering customer satisfaction in the end, and of course, large costs. There is something called the Consortium of Information and Software Quality, and every 2 years they put out a report where they look at, among other things, the cost for poor software quality. And in their report from 2022, which is the latest one, they concluded that the total cost for technical debt in the US alone was at $1.41 trillion and rising. It's actually the biggest reason for not being able to update and maintain old code. And the total cost for bad software quality was at a staggering $2.51 trillion, and that's 2 years ago. So as you can see, there are some money to save to look into your software quality. But technical debt isn't everything we are affected by, of course. As any project, it starts out with a great idea, maybe several ideas, and a lot of willpower to do great things. But then again, there are things that affect the outcome of those ideas and where we end up. Things like people, as I said, lack of resources, maybe roles that you need to have but are missing, any number of things. Also, the process could be lacking, could be missing something. Maybe you're trying too much, maybe you're trying too little. This can also affect the results of your idea. And of course, the biggest thing of all, the unknown. And how do you handle the unknown? Well, since you don't know what it is, it's difficult to set up rules for how to handle it. But if you have a structured way of handling quality assurance throughout the entire process of a software project, then the unknown will be handled along the way for sure. We will at least have the guidelines to do it. So this is a quote that I often bring up when I talk about software quality, because quality is never an accident, it's always the result of intelligent effort. And with this quote in mind, I would like to put up a short Slido just to take the pulse for you all on where you are right now. So when was the last time you reviewed your QA strategy, if you even have one? So please give me some answers, and I will see where we are right now. Okay, looking good. Some of you are reviewing your QA strategies at a decent pace. But then again, a lot without having one. I'm not sure what to think about if you're not sure it ever happened, but at least that means you have a QA strategy, so that's good. So this is good to know, and I think we have a good basis to go on when we look more into how to create or update a QA strategy. So at Ductus, which is where I work as a QA manager, we have what we call the Ductus Qual A program. So that's really a structured way of knowing that we're working with the right things when it comes to quality. So we want to, of course, ensure that we meet our own high demands for quality, but also the high demands of our clients. And maybe also giving some tips and tricks and helping our clients in achieving great quality as well. So typically, we start with the first step, which is looking at best practice, sharing our knowledge. What is quality assurance even? There might be different opinions on that, so we want to be clear on what that is. So that's usually where we start. And as I said in the beginning, our approach is that quality assurance is something that runs through the entire organization. So we want that to be part of our clients' quality as well. Then going into assessing the QA needs. Where are we right now with quality? What do we need to do? And this is something, I mean, even if we do have a quality assurance strategy, as our business offers evolves, we need to evolve that strategy as well. So it's something that we do all the time. And based on all these assessments and best practices, we develop an achievable strategy or update the current strategy. And then, of course, not the easiest part, we've talked a lot about changing mindsets and the consequences of that. And that goes into step number 4, of course, because who knows, could be a lot of work to do when you've done your assessment and need to implement that strategy. So, yeah. What are we doing to minimize the risk for a lot of cost due to poor software quality? Yeah, you guessed it. You have a QA strategy and you create one. But how do you do that? That's what I want to look into a bit more. So first of all, we need to, the ground point is to learn how to improve the quality of our system. How can we do that? As I said, get an understanding of what QA means to you. I'm pretty sure if you ask everyone in the organization, from top to bottom, you'll have different answers to that question. Because everyone has their own view of what quality is or quality assurance is. So it's good to start on the same page. And then, of course, where are you right now? Where are we in terms of quality? Are we testing as we should? Do we have processes and methods in place? And of course, where do you want to be? Or where should you be? And the natural question after that, how can we get there? And I would say if you know the answers to where you are right now, and you know the answer to where you want to be, then that answer to how to get there will pretty much answer itself. This inventory, finding out where you are right now, is where we want to start. And that's what I will refer to now as doing a QA audit, because that's really what it's about. And doing the QA audit, you need to sit down with all the project stakeholders. Actually, I would say you need to sit down with a lot of other people as well. You need to talk to maybe sales, management, engineering, operations. I mean, you need to talk to everyone. You need to understand where you are with quality assurance, as I mentioned before. We need to look at ways of working. What are we doing right now? What are we doing right? What should we do in another way, perhaps? Is something lacking, or are we doing too much somewhere, maybe? So that's something that we need to start looking at. And we can do that in a number of different ways. I mean, there are several ways. You can do that by interviewing. You can do that by doing retrospectives on different levels. There are lots of methods to do that. And a part of that will be then to learn from the past, because that's when we identify our challenges by things we've done before. Looking at processes and tools, as I said, and knowing that when you do this type of audit, it might mean that you need to maybe get a new tool. And getting a new tool might mean a lot of changes to ways of working, for example. Might mean that you need to change some mindsets along the way, perhaps. So it could mean some additional work. And that's why it's really important that everyone is on board when you do this type of audit, because it can have effects all over the place. And if everyone is on board, that's a whole lot easier to do that mindset change. And to get the investments done as well, if you need to do some major changes. And all this results in a report that we can use then as a stepping stone to move forward. So this is a lot of things to do and think about. And to break this up even more, I can show this roadmap that I usually use. This is a bit simplified, but this is basically how it looks. Finding out the mission. What is the pain point? What are the pain points? Then looking at the processes. As I said, talk to people, find out where we are today. Analyze the findings, of course. And based on that, you recommend your actions. And then, of course, you present those findings and recommend the actions to the stakeholders. And as an assessor, when I do this for other organizations, that's really where my work normally stops, because when we come to the second row there, that's where the stakeholders need to act. They need to take action upon the recommended actions or findings that we have done. When I do this review internally, well, I may be one of the stakeholders, but either way, I want to really stress the importance of taking action, because if you don't do that, why did you do the audit, basically? So if we start at the beginning there, what's the mission? To find out the mission, we need to interview the managers or the stakeholders, the one initiating this QA review. We need to find out the basics. Okay, what's the project here? What's the product? What are we working with? What type of project is this that we are reviewing? And you can talk to the stakeholders, finding out how do you work today, or how do you think you work today, because that might not always correlate. And of course, what is it that you want to achieve? What's the actual problem? What's the pain point? Why are you calling this audit to be done? If you know this, you know the basis of what you're supposed to do as an auditor, and that makes things a whole lot easier, I would say, because then you know what you're working with, what the expectations are, and hopefully this also means that everyone is on board. Because, as I mentioned, it's really important that everyone is on board on this so that action can take place at the end. So now that we know the mission, we might want to dig deeper. And to do that, we need to talk to people. And when I say people, I mean everybody. I mean sales, I mean management, I mean developers, testers, those responsible for environments, deployment, anyone involved in the project or product that you're reviewing. So you look at things like requirements. How do you gather your requirements? Who's involved? What are their format? Are they understandable by everybody? Are we missing some information? How do we get the information? And why are you missing it? You look at things like methodology. Are you working agile? What type of agile? Could you do it somewhere in a different way? Maybe someone has suggestions, or maybe someone has frustrations, who knows? Maybe you're working waterfall or a combination, what we call agile in a box, where you need to stay within boundaries even though you're agile. Of course, this is quality assurance. We need to look at the test and development process. That's essential. And look at the procedures that are used there. DevOps, maybe AI is a factor. Are we securing our data as we should? Are we automating as we should? Are we automating in the wrong way? Everything that has to do with the test and development process, and I will get into that a bit more as well. Of course, you also talk to the testing team. What are the profiles of those people? I mean, do they have the knowledge they need to do the type of testing they're doing? What are their attitudes? I mean, something that can actually make people angry is if a tester, and I know this from experience, if a tester reports an error and has an attitude about it, that can create some difficulties in a software project. It's not too uncommon, so that's something to look at as well. And of course, testing methods and the results that we have, of course. All of this needs to be dug into really heavily. And same thing with the developer team. What are their profiles? Do we have all the roles that we need? What's the team setup? Are we missing something? Maybe a role should be there that isn't there right now. What are their attitudes? Are they frustrated about something? And usually when you interview people at this stage, you can get a lot of great ideas, because very often there's a lack of a forum to bring up those ideas so that they get listened to. And this is a great opportunity for them to bring them up. So you need to really take hold of that and bring in those ideas into your audit. Other things as well when it comes to ways of working, looking at knowledge sharing, how are we doing that? How is the management support? Do they know what we're doing? Do they have other expectations? So as you can hear, lots and lots of things to worry about here and look at. And if you're going to testing, there are also lots of questions to ask. There was a talk about it earlier this week also about testing. If we look at things like how are we testing, when are we testing, what are we testing, and how are we doing it, and who is doing it. Looking at what we can automate. Is it a good thing or a bad thing to do it sometimes? What are we already automating? Are we reusing as we should, and so on. One thing that you can use to do this is the test suite canvas. This is available online if you Google it. And this is something you can do if you're looking into automating more, for example. This actually brings up something that's often missed, and that's who is responsible for an automation suite, for example, if we are looking at different teams and things like that. So I can recommend looking into that if you want to talk test automation. More tips on doing these type of interviews. Of course, take notes of everything or record it, because you think you may remember who said what about what, but you won't. Try to be on the same level as the ones you're talking to. You're their friend. That's how you find out those great ideas. So make sure to do that. And the same thing, be open-minded. Think like a tester when you're talking to a tester. Try to think like a developer from their point of view when you're talking to a developer. Same thing with business analysts or sales or whoever you're talking to, because that will affect how you analyze and present the results later on. And that being said, now we have gathered all this information, and it's a lot, I assure you. You have taken notes, you have brought everything down. Now you need to analyze those findings. So a very easy way to do that is to basically split things up. What are good things? What are things to improve? That's the first sorting that we do. Good things, what works well? What can we do more of, or should do more of? Maybe I identified some people that can grow even more in their role or in the company. We should highlight those. Those are great to have. Maybe those great ideas that you heard from development can be brought in here. So you list all these things up. And same thing with the things to improve. Ideas might not be good things. Could be frustrations. Could also be great improvements. So you put those in here. Same with processes and methods that are missing, or maybe they can be tweaked a bit because they don't work as well as they could. You put those in here. Tools that can be used, maybe to make life easier, or maybe tools that you have but you can improve in some way. And all the other things from all the different areas. You put those in here. And this is also the basis for what you present to management, to those who set up your mission in the beginning. And that is where I stand as a QA auditor. Now it's time to take action. So I might not be able to take action if I'm doing this audit in another organization, because I don't know everything about that organization, and I'm not the one with the possibilities to do so. But I would recommend that, since the one talking to all the people and doing all the assessment could be good to have along the process of making action. But I can at least give some general recommendations. Same as Fredrik Svan mentioned the other day for automation projects, start with the points that are easy wins. Because that will increase involvement, people will be happy to do it, and you'll see the effect quite quickly. And based on what I've seen in the audits I've done, there is actually a bunch of easy wins to have, so that's a good way to start. But if there are lots of changes to be made, maybe my report should also suggest a plan for how this can be implemented over time. Or maybe together with people from the organization, so that you have sort of a plan how to do it. And of course, those actions that needs to be taken, because if you don't take them, I promise you people will be very frustrated, because they've given you all their ideas, and now you didn't listen or you didn't do anything about it. So take action and follow up on those actions. So book follow-up meetings after your first easy win project. Do project retrospectives, sprint retrospectives, maybe when you look specifically at the points we've improved. And maybe redo some interviews after a while. So that's a way to make sure that things are actually working as you're hoping. And of course, those actions should also be incorporated in a QA strategy, because now you have all the input you need to create that strategy. And everything we've looked at should give some pretty good input into setting up rules or strategies for your test and delivery pipeline, for your methods that you're using, the process that you want to have, maybe some KPIs you want to look at. Use the QA strategy to look at those and set up rules for those. Same guidelines and gatekeepers to make sure that we are keeping in line with our quality strategy. And of course, constant improvement. That's the basis for everything. Making sure that we keep this work going. Because we want to be quality focused when we do our projects because, well, first of all, we save a lot of money by avoiding bad software quality, by avoiding technical debt as much as possible, because now, of course, we have rules for code maintainability and stuff like that. So a lot of money to be saved and a lot of frustration at that. So keep being quality focused when you start or continue your automation projects. And with that, I will leave you to contemplate about this. I would also like to bring up a final slide that you can, so you can maybe help each other out with what's most important in your quality strategy or the quality strategy you're aiming to have. And you can discuss those points maybe over lunch. And you can find me outside, of course, if you have questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mia. So we have one question up on Slido.
Yeah. So please tell me what is most important when you consider a QA strategy. Anything goes. No one? Yeah, there were too many who didn't have one.
You've overwhelmed them with the QA goodness.
Yeah.
So while we're waiting for some responses, you talk about stakeholders, you talk about management improvement. So ideally, what do you see as the right level of executive sponsorship for QA strategy?
I think endorsing those actions and working together to prioritize those actions in a good way. Yeah.
Okay, so you think like the team level manager, do you seem like a director of the overall organization?
Yes, it depends on the action that needs to be taken, because if the bigger the investment, of course, the higher management needs to be involved, perhaps. If we were looking at big tool or platforms to be...
Makes sense. Seems like we have a winner over here.
Yes. And I cannot disagree. That's absolutely true. Yeah, great to see some responses, and keep responding, and as I said, keep discussing amongst yourselves as well. And find me outside if you have questions, or on LinkedIn, of course, as well.
Cool. Thank you, Mia.
Thank you.
So before we head to lunch, my team would like me to clarify a bit on the NetConf NEDs. So from our perspective, we will happily build NetConf NEDs the way we build CLI NEDs and anything else. The thing that we're dependent on with third party is access to the Yang models. So that is one of the things that we need. And then as a customer, you take the Yang model from your vendor, our NEDs, put them together, and put them into deployment. If you have more questions about that, I'm running around, the team's running around, we can dig more into that. So we're heading to lunch. Lunch will be an hour, and then we'll be back here. So go forth and graze. Thank you.